And, you know, for some reason it is impossible seemingly for them to admit that.
And hello, you've just caught Michael sitting down. There he
Hey!
is.
Ha!
Hello. We are...
Just in time.
Yeah, you definitely were there completely. There. Hello, everyone. I'll swap to the full camera in 1 second. I just have to sort something out first.
Oh.
Yeah, fantastic. Also, plug yourself in there.
Plug myself in?
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, it has been a whole...
There's a slight problem.
It's fine.
HDMI cable is indeed wet.
Yeah, so I'll solve that in a very small problem. Hello.
Are the connectors wet? Let's find out.
Yep, so...
Actually,
The connector's not wet. It's fine.
Okay.
Work well. It's fine. What's it going to do? Short your laptop? No problem. No problem. Yeah, so turns out
Wish us luck.
we've forgotten how to stream in 3 weeks. Fantastic. Do we have life?
Nothing
There we
blew
go.
up.
We've got life. Excellent
Nothing
stuff.
blew up.
Excellent stuff.
All right. Mm-hmm. Quite a lot to talk about, actually.
Yes, Albert, we did remove the Christmas stuff long before the stream because obviously we had news to record. Although I was sort of tempted to keep a little bit up but as an Easter egg, but I decided no. Correct. We'll be responsible
Matt killed
adults.
Christmas.
Oh, yeah. Yep. All the decorations have definitely been dealt with and are not sitting in a bag right behind the camera. Absolutely.
Definitely. So there's a lot to talk about.
Yes.
We've
there
got
is.
one thing that'll be fun is a little bit of Tylee's video on Zoval's 5000 IQ plan. Which actually I thought was interesting. I'm definitely out of sync with... I mean, for me, it was always the 5000 IQ plan was like a bit of a meme. But,
Yeah.
you know, I've always thought it was quite intuitively obvious that everything that anybody does is basically just a decision tree. So from their subjective first-person experience, they all sort of, you know, experience it one way. But then when we look at it, we only see the branches of the decision tree that were followed. Therefore, it has one big through line. But then I think the problem is Blizzard's telling of that story and the bits that they've chosen to double down on because they think they're menacing when they're actually really lame.
Yeah.
Which will be fun to get into.
Yeah. But also, I don't think people do an awful lot of, I guess I would call it scheming in their own time, where the average human experience isn't trying to get out of jail by having a spy network do a lot of influencing for you.
Really?
So I can at least in my experience. In my experience, I usually just bribe the guard. But anyway.
Well, usually it's a prison that I've built myself and put myself in, so...
Yep.
Some Mr. Robot Season 2 shit.
Indeed.
But yeah, we got a lot to talk about. Mage Tower was there, and it went away. Some Zoval stuff is 9.2 next month, so lots of topics. Let's jump right in.
Go for it.
Mage Tower. Gone.
Rest
Gone.
in peace, taken from us too soon. Very good.
Yes. So the Mage Tower is gone. And, you know, the consensus is basically just, boys, where'd it go? We obviously knew it was going to come out, or to leave. You know,
Yep.
we knew it was going to go. But, gotta be real. Seems basically I think almost everyone in the, creator space other than Soul
Yeah.
is saying... Why? No. Soul basically said that if it's there forever, it'll turn into a chore. That was his tweet. I'm like, you know what? I'm not going to engage in this because I don't think that's really a good point.
Yeah.
It's a bit messy, but for almost everybody else, they're just saying like, make it be more. Let us just play the fucking game. Because look, weekend's coming up. If the Mage Tower was still there, I'd do it, and I'd be logged in playing WoW, contributing to the economy even. Which then, of course, is me creating gameplay for other players.
Like dumping WoW tokens into Borellis blood sausages.
That's been the theme of the last 4 weeks for a lot of people.
Yep, absolutely. No, I mean, I think I think Soul's point was largely that the FOMO stuff clearly does work. I think it clearly does work because everyone knows limited time events are exciting, But
and
it's
that's
not.
a bad thing.
Yeah, that's a bad thing. That's not what we want. It's like the kind of thing where I think, especially in that last night before it went down, whenever me and you were playing it, I was doing the Frostmage stuff, beating the twins, and I was like, this is a lot of people. I actually went and did a bunch of stuff in FF because I wanted to play Mage Tower because it was the last day and I wanted to get stuff done. But then in a weird twist of irony, it wasn't loading the instance because there were too many people trying to get into Mage Tower, so it wasn't loading. So I went and played FF19. Okay,
Oh, nice.
Fuck up.
Congrats.
I'm ahead of the curve. I was playing F14 all night instead until like 1 a.m. when it settled down. It's like, this is strange, but
Yeah, so
basically there were a lot of people trying to play it on the last day, which likely spiked all of their numbers and it looked really good to them. Like, wow, we have a fucking peak of MAUs on the day the thing almost went away. Boy, isn't that a tactic we can use to have numbers look good in future? Which is the fear, of course.
it'll probably go that way, let's be real. Which, you know, kind of sucks because for me, that's just like, I get it. This will juice engagement. That's really nice. But you can only do that so many times.
Yeah.
So instead,
The boy who cried wolf, like.
yeah, instead think about the fundamentals, trying to make them better. You'll see less explosive results, but what you will see is more slow and sustainable growth, which is in fact what you want.
Of course.
And that's really what so many of us want to see. So, you know, we've got Flex, we've got Air Mr. GM. I can't believe they didn't extend the Mage Tower. Towley, you know, kind of saying similar stuff. I thought it was interesting from Corey.
Oh, yeah.
You know, I was hoping they'd listen to the players. They didn't. I'm canceling my sub. It's like, damn. Damn, now I can understand it going down because that was the plan and people were on holiday.
Yeah.
What I'd say now is, hey, Blizz, just put it back on. Like, just make it come back. You can do that. We will all understand that it's because you were off on your holidays that, you know, you couldn't make the changes to extend it. But look, people want to play the game. And you might say, oh, but then we'll burn through our Mage Tower challenges and people would do them and no more content to do. Well, here's the thing. Make more. Make more. Don't recycle the, you know, the same seven fights and try to, you know, use the FOMO and having less of this thing and, you know, sort of fewer calendar weeks of it being available. Don't use that. You know, don't be like, people are excited about this, so we're going to give them little windows where they can do it so they don't, you know, make themselves sick of it and so we don't run out of the content. Instead, understand that people really like that. So, you know, give us a full fat version of it that's there forever. Make it a new feature, you know, add a few bosses to it with every expansion. And then suddenly in 2 or 3 expansions time, there could be 25 or 30 Mage Tower-like bosses. Doesn't even have to be the Mage Tower, you know, it could be some other name of a feature. I mean, there's even a lot of great things they have in the Brawlers Guild, too. It's just, you know, is there anything you can do to make that seem more exciting to people? Because, you know, one of the things with the Brawlers Guild is some of the rewards aren't exactly great. So, you know, maybe there's something in the reward loop that can be done there. I mean, the one time that I did just go through the Brawlers Guild, I thought it was really cool. I didn't really care about not having the rewards because it was just fun to do. But certainly, it just has me thinking about how they can get a lot more out of this.
Yeah, I mean, I've always enjoyed the Brawlers Guild stuff. I think they're kind of onto something if they kind of... Not recently.
Because Brawler Guild, it's deactivated, right?
I believe so. I think so now. But it's that idea of, you know, they're onto something with that because the fights are interesting. It's just that they're kind of... they're not really scaled in any capacity. It's kind of just, yeah, go in and wreck them all you want whenever you're really strong or suffer massively if you're not strong. But they are interesting and quite nice. But I think there's a lack of participation in, I would say Gladiators Guild. What? My fucking brain doesn't work. Brawlers Guild stuff. There's a lack of participation because it's not really pointed to in any capacity. It's not very obvious content.
Yeah.
And it's not really highlighted in the sense like, if you don't know what's there, how do you know what's there? You really don't. Especially not since after its introduction, where every time it's like, it's somewhere, I think. I mean, the very fact that you have to go, can I go do it? That's a big problem.
I guess it's like it's communicated as like a side fantasy instead of a part of your class fantasy, which is maybe where the Mage Tower has quite a lot going for it.
Yeah, whereas, you know, exactly that. If they went, hey, here's the Brothers thing, it's... Because even the Mage Tower, like, little storylines for each challenge were really cool. I really enjoyed them, and I'm almost kind of annoyed that they weren't part of the actual... It's awkward because you wouldn't want them to unlock it,
Yeah.
because they were fairly long. But also like seeing how they ended, I'm like, oh yeah, I remember these were actually fairly compelling little characters. So it's like doing that within a more expansive way with the Brawlers Guild would be basically a way to kind of get those two work together, but then they'd have to run into the problem of, I guess, tuning up the Brawlers Guild to make it feel more Mage Tower-y if they wanted to get that feel, and also deal with the scaling problem, because obviously there's certainly that.
Yeah, so it's pretty interesting stuff overall.
Sure is.
I'll have to see. I mean, like, for me, I enjoyed it. Now, there is some bullshit. Like, why is it that an agility potion, an agility flask, like, why is it that when different ones are scaled to the same level, they don't give the same amount of agility?
Same with plots, food,
everything. Yeah, none of that makes sense. And it does, look, it's a sort of thing, and, you use the word kusage for it, which I think makes a lot of sense, but, like, is it fun to optimize your character around something? Like, yeah, it is. But it is a bit weird that it's kind of happening because all this stuff's just really messy.
Yeah, it's not like this is the design of, here's a challenge. There's a sort of little play space of possibility you can work around in to solve the problem. It is just, here's a challenge, and you can go out of your way to hyper optimize or to slightly optimize or to optimize whatever way you want. But you have to look at the entire history and most of the patch notes of a 17-year-old game to do so, and you're relying on it being broken as opposed to being designed, which I think is like we were talking about this before, but the idea of a Mage Tower, but they designed a new set of consumables for it that were only usable in it, and you like you either got them from Nether Shards, which had people redoing world content there, or bought them from the auction house. So there's like a kind of two-way way of participating in that. That would have likely solved all the problems of, oh well, you have to go and use Borealis blood sausages, superior battle potions, greater flasks of what the 8.2 or 3 ones. I can't remember when they're introduced, but yeah, that stuff where there's such nice, so much possibility, but they would have to think about it as a piece of content as opposed to, fuck it, turn it on, test it for a bit, hope it works. Yeah. Which is clearly what happened.
Yeah, and it's the sort of thing, like, in spite of all that, I had a lot of fun. Defeating the twins as MM, it's like, yeah, you feel a nice little sense of accomplishment. Even just that, that usual thing of, like, the first time you do it, maybe you get raced to 80% after the, the first phase. But maybe, the time you get the kill, you can actually get them down to, like, 59% in your first burst window. And you're like, oh, yeah, that's quite satisfying. And, you do the same thing again and again and again, yet at the same point in time, all the percentages of the boss health are lowered because you're just getting better at the minutiae. That's all really great. Now, for me, it did expose just like a few UX issues that I think exist in almost all of MMOs. So this bit isn't just Blizzard, like, isn't their fault.
Yeah, it's the genre's fault almost.
Yeah, because, like, there's lots of games where, things are, like, very easy and intuitive. It's like, oh, there's an enemy over there, so I will aim my bow over there and fire at the guy. But, of course, in WoW, it's like a tab targeting game. So that can be quite tricky when you've got loads and loads of targets. Now, of course, you just use, as an example, targets, you target Karam.
Yeah.
You use a last target macro, so that my experience of using concussive shot on Karam while he's following me is I'm fighting one of the hands or I'm shooting raced. I hit the C key and I just automatically fire concussive shot out, immediately retarget the guy I'm fighting. And that's just like, it's a UX thing. It reduces the number of clicks and the amount of, you can almost say, cognitive junk, which is just like buttony UI things you have to do to accomplish what you want to do. And it ends up being that once you set up all those macros and you do all of that, I'm not saying it's like, oh, it's just like you have a neural interface for the game, but it is, the whole, I hit my button, exact action happens.
Yeah, the intentionalities are, there's no gap between you and the intentionality.
And there's so many other, action games and stuff like that where they don't have all of that targeting, and that can make it feel a lot more responsive, a lot more meaty. So it's very weird, that thing where it's like, as soon as you get the set of macros and stuff that allow for the fight to be done in a way that isn't fiddly, i.e. a UI setup that gets rid of the inherent fiddliness of MMO combat systems, then suddenly these fights feel like more actiony and more fun.
Yeah.
Like, yes, they are easier, but easier and more fun because the difficulty that is being bypassed by the macros is more just like, UI clunk.
It's not difficulty, it's gunk. It's just shit. It's stuff that you don't want there.
So I wonder how Blizzard can really deal with that, because, you know, for those of us who are going to do those macros, that's fine. We just do them. They're done. It's really fun. It all works. But a lot of people don't know to do that, or maybe they're not just in the way of doing that. So I wonder what we can learn from that for like combat design in WoW. But ultimately, like, I enjoyed it. If it was still there, I would be dabbling in it all the way up to 9.2. But that ain't going to happen.
Nope.
As it stands, I have no reason to log in, and surely that's not a victory for Blizzard.
No, I mean, like, it's so strange that there is literally, well, the only reason I think to log in if you are, because there's going to be so much catch up 9.2, obviously, because there always is every basically patch. I think the only thing you're probably missing is if you're not Renown 80, because that gives a lot of what you can actually do with the kind of more freedom of mechanics they introduced in 9.1.5. So it's like, unless you're going to farm that up, which is interesting to do, then there's no reason to log in whatsoever now that 9.2 is on the horizon. Yeah. And if you're thinking, well, I'll clean up stuff that I didn't do in 9.1, good luck, because the patch is, you know, you're playing the patch and the patch is nearly over. So
yeah, so it's weird stuff. So that's the Mage Tower. We're probably going to do a video on it pretty soon, actually. Yep. So I want to dive into that. But look, there we go. I had a lot of fun. I'm glad they put it in. I had enjoyable World of Warcraft time, and I am happy with that. I think that, you know, they could do a little bit more, perhaps, and at the very least, lessons can be learned. I think this was successful, and it was just very nice to see loads of people. You know, you go to the Mage Tower, there's people everywhere. That feels nice. It makes you feel like it's an MMO. You see people with their big Brutosaurus providing auction house services. You know.
Or you do, you lucky bastard.
Aha. But it's just like all those nice MMO things, you know?
Yeah,
it's just nice to have that stuff. So, you know, yeah, it was just really nice logging into WoW and having a really fun challenge. Because one of the things in Shadowlands is it hasn't been that solo challenge, or just that like, hey, I'm going to go play my class, and I got to play some of it, and it was fun. So you know, lessons.
What I would say is, it's not just a solo challenge that's missing. It's the ability to do anything solo that's meaningful. Because there's basically nothing you can do in the game that doesn't require you to party up, which at the minute I think is, especially at the end of a patch, a frustrating experience. Yeah. Because trying to get into a heroic group for Sanctum is just not very fun. It's a massive pain in the ass no matter what you're doing. And then, you know, basically unless you're mythic geared, then same goes for, you know, there's no short-term experience of Mythic Plus that feels meaningful. And also trying to get a party again also kind of blows if you don't have a big score. Yeah. So you're kind of completely disincentivized from playing whatsoever. Then you just kind of have nothing to do. Unless you want to go and farm old stuff, but that's not always a meaningful thing to do. Unless there's a specific thing you're interested in, and then you go and try for it, and that takes you half an hour. And if it doesn't drop, fuck you, come back next week. So it's certainly, like, it's been interesting trying to want to play the game a little bit, just, you know, to try and sort of keep some sort of flame burning there with it, and just logging in like, fuck this. There's nothing I can really do in like the, you know, the half an hour before I'm going to bed, or the an hour and a half before I'm going to bed, without having to get a party and, I guess, gamble a bunch of time.
Whereas I guess for you can just instantly go into FF, do some roulettes, and kind of get what you want.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Yeah, which WoW doesn't really have as much, because they've kind of hyper put all of that into the Mythic Plus system. Yeah. And, you know, there is just that bit of me that does kind of think like, well, would a Mythic Plus with a solo queue and a rating work? I mean, there's other games that use solo queue and a rating, and you can maybe assemble a party, and sure, it's probably not going to be viable for super, super high-end Mythic Plus key pushing, but frankly, I don't give a shit about that. Yeah. You know, if you can just give me an average or above average group, and, you know, you have a thing where if somebody's a dickhead and they get a negative report, you know, they're putting the naughty boy queue, which I think some other games do that. They have, like, the fucking penal colony queue that you go into if you're a dickhead.
Oh, the Dota version's so rough.
Stuff like that, yeah. Well, you know, man, would that not be good? Because it could just sort of mean, you know, you hit the button and away you go. Yeah. Now, I suppose there could be some rough stuff with the Keystone system, but if they could make that work, I actually think that would rapidly increase some of the playability, And then there's that thing, though, if you make everything match made and on a queue, you can then sort of argue, well, okay, that really diminishes the social playing of the game. And it's like, oh, shit, yeah, I get that. But
Bit lit.
a bit late for that. Times have kind of changed. Now we really form our groups in Discord outside of the game rather than inside of the game. Therefore, does it make sense to kind of optimize around maximal playability, which Final Fantasy XIV has done, where, you know, in FF14, raiding can be a multi-hour commitment a week, or it can be a very short commitment because you go in, you don't kill a bunch of trash. You generally go in, you're kind of straight at the boss.
Yeah.
Right? And, you know, the queuing is way more granular as well. So I wonder if there are things that Blizzard can do there. Because surely the kind of group formation, social group formation, that's going to happen far more around the highest end Mythic Plus keys that people probably wouldn't be doing in the matchmaking system anyway.
Yeah, I think it's interesting because a lot of it would be very, very difficult to communicate to players without it basically shitting all over the established players and existing players. And obviously, you know, you could argue that World of Warcraft maybe has had a problem of trying to stick too much to a specific type of player or a specific group of players and have let a lot of other players kind of by the wayside as a result. And then that group turned out to be bigger than I think Blizzard thought.
Yeah.
So you can argue kind of that, but you can also look at the other side and go, well, if you were a happy player with the game, you would feel betrayed if it drastically changed. So I think that would be a very difficult thing for them to actually do internally. But also they do need to do, I think, some drastic change. And I'm hoping that because there's so much granularity in World of Warcraft classes and specs and talents and gear and stuff like that, that not being able to select who you play with causes massive problems in terms of viability in cases, and that's why they're so afraid of PvP solo queue. But they are looking into situations or solutions for that, and they are testing them out. So I'm hoping that we maybe do get something with the kind of Mythic Plus system that's a little less, I guess I would describe it as less capable, and this is weird because I usually would blame Blizzard for thinking this way, but need to build a system that's aggressive that lets people play, but it's defensive and doesn't let people kind of self-design the community to be a bad experience for people. Because obviously selection for like Mythic Plus rating or old RIO score and flavor of the month specs really damages it all. So, and they clearly have proven that they're not able to do that via balance. They're not able to solve that problem. I think that they seem to have almost given up on trying a lot of the time, where they just kind of go, well, that's dead for this season. Shit, whatever. We'll just have to deal with it. So I think like being aggressive and having a solution there might actually work, which obviously, as you say, is just a queue system and sort of hope it works. And if it doesn't work, then kind of like make that the big play and then iterate on that for improvement. Because I think the kind of self-getting together as groups is, well, there's definitely solutions to that problem as well, but also it is a problem.
I think it's just that thing. Now that FF14 has expanded its position in the market, a lot of people who are endgame FF14, they want to do some progression. They can just go do their roulettes, you know, do their stuff for their tombstones. And if you only have an hour and a half of video game to play, in FF14, I think your progress can be a lot more guaranteed. It honestly, it has, I don't want to say it has a more skilled player base, but I think a lot of people would feel, especially going into some of those trials blind with other people going to the trial blind, I really feel like it's night and day to World of Warcraft experiences that I've had. So like the combination of that and how you can basically just go and queue for a boss that you just want to go and do because it's, you know, it's decently granular. I mean, that means if somebody has a limited amount of time in one evening, the chances of one game wasting their time is a lot higher than the other one. Therefore, FF14, for a lot of people, it's going to win. Yeah.
I mean, my experience of that has been unbelievable compared to World of Warcraft. Like I talked about in that video on the gaming channel, which is like the experience of doing those extremes was wild. People were completely patient. Most people were patient. I was generally one of the weaker members of the group overall, which I was kind of surprised by. Some of that might just be the parties I ended up with. But I was like, man, this is really interesting that it's like we're here for success, and people are patient enough, but they're not here for a guaranteed kill. They're here for because the experience of learning it is a little bit shorter, because you just kind of go and go and go, and mechanics aren't designed like Savage mechanics where they do require a lot of coordination. They require some coordination, and it's satisfying enough to do that I found that it was just a pretty clean experience. Like practice parties were just the concept of them blows my mind, and if they ever existed in World of Warcraft, I never saw them effectively.
They do exist, they're just, I think, a lot more rare.
Yeah.
So it's interesting stuff, and I just wonder how it's going to inform the next World of Warcraft expansion, because look, FF learned from WoW. WoW needs to learn from FF. That's how it works with games. Really, they should learn from each other. So
that's actually 1 second. That's actually an interesting point. Poke says if WoW made it easy to queue up for all the content, Blizzard are scared that the complete lack of content will become an even bigger issue than it already is. And I would say absolutely not, because FF14 on a expansion per expansion basis doesn't really have that much content in the end game combat sense.
Mm-hmm.
The expert roulette is literally 3 dungeons.
Yeah.
You queue for expert roulette, you get 1 of 3 dungeons. That's it. But they're fun, so it's fine. Same with there's 4 raid bosses. There's 2 extremes.
Wow, ships.
That's very little, but people are happy to do it because it's designed to be very fun. It's always fun to do them, even when they get kind of rote in memory. It's still satisfying to do. So you're kind of in for like a comfy experience if you're doing expert roulettes, unless you're a tank pulling wall to wall and your healer's a bit shit, think it's a bit sweaty. But generally speaking, it's like, yeah, there's not an awful lot of content, like literally, but your satisfaction with each of that content is substantially better, and you play so much more of it. And then you also have the evergreen content, which is old content you can do at a moment's notice if you feel like it. But I think the takeaway there is that the barrier to engaging in that content is so much lower that then people just engage with it and they're like, yeah, sure. I would be able to get through maybe 2 or 3 dungeons in roulette before I'd get 1 mythic group, realistically. Yeah. And I think that's one of the biggest differences to gameplay experience overall. And we kind of turned accidentally into talking about FF14 versus World of Warcraft, but it is a World of Warcraft thing of like...
Well, that's how WoW can learn.
Yeah,
and that's a crazy thing. WoW's got so many more bosses than FF.
Yep.
I was thinking you could maybe say FF, like its average boss is maybe a bit better.
Yeah.
For some would say, but then again, WoW does have way more bosses, so it's going to be harder to make each one as good.
Tons more.
But I think that does mean that if WoW could maybe learn from some of that FF stuff, it could probably get a lot of good results. I mean, for me anyway, a lot of people really like things like Sarth. I keep on bringing this up. People like things like Sarth. So I think it would be, great. I mean, imagine if with world bosses, I mean, they're not gameplay. Yeah. Why bother designing a world boss? You may as well just put a big health bar there that does nothing.
Yeah.
Or just arbitrarily kills, say, 10 people a minute and just you have no control over it. It may as well be it.
Yeah.
So instead, stop making those.
Yeah.
Give us a trial with an extreme mode every patch.
Yeah.
Where it's like, instead of where we would have done a world boss, we're now going to give a solo queue boss that drops pretty good gear, or maybe not solo queue, whatever type of way it works, that you can just go and do. And I think that would actually be brilliant for World of Warcraft.
Yeah, that's the awkward thing where I feel like, if you had the Raid Finder? What the fuck? Jesus Christ, man, you can't speak today. Raid Finder window. If you had the Raid Finder window and it had access to content that was fun to do, if you could queue up for Sarth and you could scale down.
Oh man, that'd be great.
That would be pretty sweet. Obviously, the problem then is LFR has a difficulty that people are used to, so they'd have to figure out a way to revamp that. Probably adding the difficulty windows to LFR, which is then a massive problem because then people are saying, "Oh, you've ruined the game," because you can now just hop into a thing as a group, which is a vast sort of difference to how things work. But the idea of almost like a Crucible of Storms. Like, Crucible of Storms was great as far as most people are concerned. So if you just fire one of those in, just fire the last boss in. Fuck the first 2. Fire the last boss in. Even use something that's ready, use an existing tile set. Use an existing fucking mob for all anyone cares. Hey, just make them cool.
The anniversary event. Remember the anniversary
event? Oh, yeah,
raid?
shit, yeah.
They're clearly able to grab a bit of... I mean, I don't know if they, legit completely remade those fights again. Actually... they weren't able to just do a lot of asset reuse. Maybe they just had to re-script the fight. to work with the new thing and, to make it like its own new little mini
of
raid.
course, yeah.
I don't know how that would work, but it would be pretty sweet. So it's just that sort of thing. Look, both games can learn from each other. And if all the games learn from each other, then both games get better and then everyone is happy. So, there's kind of no need for a big, like, us versus them kind of angry thing to go on. We may as well just kind of be chill, not give a shit, and just talk about like things as as they are without all the pretense.
Man, that's a really good idea. Farts. Oh, I'm such a chad. Anyway, yeah, they could do a VOA or TB style raid. Yeah, Vault of Archivon. Obviously, it had the which was really cool at the time. I think they wouldn't do it again because of too many downsides to it that are like they'd be defensive around. But obviously, I love the PvP control aspect of it and the fact it dropped PvP gear. But like the idea of a VOA or Tolbrad again would be really cool in terms of just, hey, here's content. It's just here it is. Do you really care about VOA if you're trying to follow the epic story of the main patches of Wrath of the Lich King? No, but also it's some content. It was something for you to do, when you logged in, if you hadn't done it that week, and if it was, if you had control of Wintergrasp. I was like, yeah, these bosses, are they really complex? No. Are they pretty fun because the mechanics are okay? Yeah. Pretty sweet, honestly.
Yeah. So, man, it's interesting stuff.
Yep.
So to move on then to some of our 9.2 topics, because PTR, all that, it's all pumping. Yep. So, Mythic raid testing has started this week. The first 4 Mythic bosses of Sepulchre of the First Ones are up for testing on the PTR, which has a lot of people speculating. Now, the first 2 Mythic bosses of Sanctum of Domination, which is Targru and Eye of the Jailer, were tested Friday, 14th of May. The patch was released around a month and a half later, on June 29th. If you were to translate this, it would mean patch 9.2 dropping as early as Tuesday, February 22nd. That would be a bit quicker than I would have expected.
That'd be a big surprise to me.
And I'd be very happy. So I hope it's true. It'd be sweet, wouldn't it? And in fairness, quite a lot of the patch does seem to be there.
Yeah.
It was interesting. I think, lore-wise, Noble... I know Noble is very much like, where is this? What is this? I don't think he's particularly thrilled. I actually have purposefully not done the PTR. I'm going to sort of do it all properly. And not just do it piecemeal for research, because I want to do a first impressions video that's actually my first impressions. So I can't do that until I've just sat down and done it properly.
Yeah.
But anyway, look, you could maybe say one of the earlier time slots is February 22nd. I'd be thrilled if that was the case.
Yeah. I mean, what was the there was something I came up with that made sense for that prediction overall. I think February 22nd was one of them because it was the initial release date of Sylvanas, wasn't it?
And the 22nd is Elden Ring's release date.
They're not releasing that.
Ain't happening there.
Nope. That's a very, very good shout out. No one would play. Well, that's not true. I think there's a big difference in people who will play Elden Ring and World of Warcraft, and the Venn diagram is probably the overlap in the Venn diagram is probably quite small.
Yeah, true.
But also, good luck getting a fucking headline in games news that week.
Yes.
That week is going to be just pure SEO, Elden Ring, everything.
Oh,
there'll be 12,000 Game Rant articles about where to find every single NPC and item in Elden Ring.
Well, that'll be it.
And, a part of me wants to say, fuck them, it's trash. But also, I completely understand the entire grift of SEO stuff, because got to make money to do everything else. And also, while I'm being charitable, some of those articles are pretty useful.
Some of them are useful. Some of them... the content doesn't always match the promise of the title perfectly, in my experience.
That's also true. But also, yeah, there's
Lost Ark in February
as well. Now, that was originally supposed to be March, and then they announced at the Game Awards it was going forward in February, which is, hey, our game's releasing earlier. You're like, nice, good. That must mean that must mean it's ready. We'll see. But anyway, the Sylvanas book was 22nd, I believe. And then it was delayed by either 4 or 5 weeks, I think.
Wait, when is Sylvanas coming out?
It's the middle of March, or end of March, I think.
I wonder if that's going to be after the final...
Yes, that's what I was getting to.
Yeah, campaign chapter.
Yep, I was getting to it. That's why I think the release date... the publishing date's March 29th, which is 5 weeks. Which lines up almost perfectly, I think, with the chapters based on the usual result.
Because I don't think they're doing the weekly I don't think they're always doing one chapter a week piecemeal.
Yeah.
I think you get like the first few at the start.
Yeah.
We'll have to see.
Yeah, I think that lines up for what I think. Oh, yeah, the new SWTOR expansion's in February as well.
Yeah.
Man, February's gonna be some good.
What about
evenings for
when's
video
the
games.
new ESO expansion?
I think it's this year. I think just.
Ah,
I don't
good.
Don't think it's early this year. I think so, but yeah. So that's 22nd is the earliest possible the patch could release. If we're looking at the Sylvanas novel being the campaign's over, here's the novel, just to stop spoiling final details, because the last one is called I believe it's called the Epilogue.
Yeah.
And then it has a reference to a line that we've data mined from Sylvanas on PTR. So her novel wouldn't make sense until that line's out. Or until we know what happens in that chapter, which is the last one.
Ah, there we go.
Yep.
Yeah.
It did.
So, interest. Oh, ESO expansion is going to be announced the 27th of January.
Nice.
Certainly.
A PoE League in February as well. Jesus.
That
Man, fuck
and
February.
that and SWTOR definitely games I need to properly
Yeah.
get into. The last time I looked into those was a long time ago. So there we go. Right, next up, the Warlock. Again, they are trying to de-KKK the Warlock set, and sort of further to that, they have they've tried to disrupt the shape language slightly. So you'll notice the hat is no longer as pointy. With I think whatever way they sew those hats, it's like there's something makes them have a big point at the top. So they're less pointy now, and they have these sort of horns. So it's a sort of thing, which one of these like looks better and has shape language is more satisfying. I really do think it's what the artists went with originally. However, that is, it's too close to the real world thing.
Yeah.
Because like when I see that, what I like the thin helmet. Reminds me of Malfail from Reaper of Souls. But you can obviously see from the rear why they would make that change, and therefore why they have changed it now.
I do quite like it, the new one.
Some people are saying bunny ears.
Oh yeah, it is. Well, I mean that's what the caption there is. But I think they maybe could have taken them to be less like this and maybe a little bit more like this or something, a little bit more like that, maybe. But I don't know. That's such a minor point.
So there we go. That's done. Next, I've got to be real with you. There is a way that the Jailer could have been so much cooler, and we're looking at it right now. So I fucking love this progenitor Jailer bot thing. I think it looks really like mournful and creepy.
Yeah.
Nope, can't mention an FF14 character. But look, it looks mournful. It looks creepy and unsettling, and also it's not a big, angry buff dude. If this was the ultimate villain, and I just think him being the ultimate villain, like literally looking like this, I think it would have been so much cooler and honestly so much more menacing.
Yeah.
I think it really would have been. Than just a default standard like, look at me, boom, I did my Thanos armor transformation.
Yeah.
There's just something a bit darker with this guy.
Yeah, it's so much more sympathetic and characterful overall.
It's like, imagine his voice is more because those villains. There's a movie I love. It's called The Witch, and I know a lot of people
The Witch?
The
Why?
Witch because it's the two V's.
Oh yeah, so I thought it was a Y instead of an I.
But I love The Witch, and not to spoil anything, but let's just say you'll know if you've seen the movie. There's a certain character who's represented obviously by the goats that are in that movie. Is it Black Pete is the name of the goat? And there is a. So I don't want to do a full spoiler, but obviously who do witches serve? Maybe one of the characters that people would have thought a witch would serve is sort of floating around there.
And Black Goat.
The way, people know the way that character is voiced. Black Phillip, even, the way that character is voiced, it is so like, it's not like it's far more. It's soft and alluring and almost a bit sexy.
Yeah.
And that's what makes it so deeply unsettling and sinister.
Yeah.
So imagine if the Jailer, maybe he can't even move.
Yeah, a little Wizard of Oz vibes, like Man Behind the Curtain kind of stuff.
Like imagine if the Jailer has been essentially, his body's being deactivated and his mind is being trapped in this, and all that he can do is whisper. It could look so cool, so menacing. and could really lend a lot of his character, like, empathy and intrigue by default, which is like what he does not have right now.
Yeah. Also, that sounds very familiar, because what other character was unable to move and had to spread his influence through
The Lich King!
Yeah, the Lich King. So that would have been a really cool allegory, but instead he has to walk around and not really do anything much.
How people are saying Jin from League.
Oh yeah, it's really interesting that
I was going for Lucifer, by the way.
Yeah, of course. I mean, that's one of the things. Obviously, when you look at villains historically for like really classical stories, which obviously I've been doing a lot of research into recently for reasons people might know, but Lucifer specifically, very much the, I guess an anti-villain in some senses. Not really, because becomes a bastard, but has always been charismatic, has always been the kind of, they'll convince you you're doing right when you're doing wrong. I mean, that's the whole thing about it, but yeah.
Voxels just said, imagine it was voiced by Silco's VA. Yeah, Silco and Arcane. I could see that. And, it's that sort of thing. It's like, there's just something more sad. Like, if this is how Zoval's kin dealt with him, you'd be like, whoa, okay, there's more going on here. There's like more of a darkness to what the other Eternals did. Yeah. I thought it would have been so much more interesting. So I really like this design. I think it's really cool.
Yep. It does, however, pose some problems to the story logistically.
Yay!
And you know me, I love my logistic holes in World of Warcraft storytelling.
That's a happy boy.
Bastard. Yeah.
So, hey, artists, you did a great job designing that. I just think it's really eerie and menacing. So some people believe this is a prototype version of the Jailer, akin to the other prototypes of the Eternals that we see in the raid, in one of the raid encounters. Other people, though, think that this could be a Zoval post-defeat, since he already has the domination runes inscribed over his body and the hole cut into his chest, which, I mean, you wouldn't think that would have happened to the template of the Jailer, because it was all those domination runes and, the hole being ripped out of the chest. That is how that character was, imprisoned, right?
Yeah, it was the Primus himself carved the runes into his flesh.
So I guess option one then is that this is the Jailer dead or defeated.
Yeah.
Maybe he loses all of his energy and this is actually what you get.
Yeah.
So he maybe returns to this sort of soulless form and looks very sad. Option two then. The Primus tested his domination magic on a prototype of Zoval before doing the real thing.
Yeah.
Now from Wowhead, quote, as there's little evidence of the other Covenant leaders ever visiting Zereth Mortis before 9.2, much less having the ability to manipulate the machines that contain therein.
So that
doesn't seem like
basically means option two is off the table. But option two is also the only way that we understand that this could not be Zoval, because the Primus carved the runes himself.
Yeah.
Possibly. But anyway.
Option three then. The first ones were testing pre-dominated Zovals because they're the ones who masterminded, just the general setup of the universe. And they were trying to write fate and all of that.
Yes, so I definitely...
there's large hints towards this.
Yeah, I definitely took a big logical leap by going from they were testing pre-dominated Zovals to they're writing fate itself, but I did at least have my reasoning there.
So your hints then. So large hints towards this throughout the expansion, such as the purpose, the prophecy of the Maw Walker, and the true Maw Walker. The enlightened telling us in Zereth Mortis that, quote, the sacred words foretold our arrival.
Yep.
Are we all part of the plan?
We seem to be.
This is where the man himself comes in. Kingdoms of Amalur. And that whole universe, working with your man, was R.I. Salvatore, was overseen by none other than Mr. Steve Denuser as creative director. And that whole thing is all about being fateless.
Yeah.
It muses fairly lightly on the notion of determinism and the player character's role in all of that. So basically combine the Song of Creation ideas with those of determinism, and perhaps the pattern the Jailer speaks of is preordained.
The one that we, according to our title, if we kill him in Mythic, we are guardians of the pattern. So... Oh, also the one thing I should also say...
He's coming in here with friggin' references in the data mining. Yeah, shit.
Yeah, the one other thing that really triggered this to me specifically about the Kingdoms of Amalur thing isn't just fate and fatelessness, but it's also the way that they refer to it, because he's talking about fractal geometry, but it comes down to the pattern. In Amalur, It was all the Fate Weaver. It was a tapestry that was woven that was Fate. And you, as the Fateless, were able to unravel it and redirect threads and stuff like that. So I can see a substantial amount of parallels. But obviously, like, full disclaimer on this, Danuzer was the creative director on Kingdoms of Amalur and the MMO universe that they were building. But he had no official credit writing for Amalur. So this is all just me putting two and two together. Might not be because of that, but
I wanna. If I ever get an interview with Steve again, which maybe is debatable, but I'd want to know
after this year,
what is his preferred answer, his preferred sort of way of thinking about the double slit experiment. Is he there in team Everett interpretation, which is Everett Many Worlds, or is he more in I say another school like the Copenhagen sort of interpretation? Does he think that really the result of the double slit experiment is it's based on hidden variables that are there, so therefore he's more of a straight determinism thing?
Yeah. Or
is he there more sort of thing about the many worlds and the sort of philosophical things that you could think about that? What does Steve Danuzer think about a quantum suicide thought experiment? And I think this is really important, because if this is all an unfurling fractal, what is a fractal? Well, a fractal, you code them up with some maths and away they go. And surely the whole thing with a fractal is you can zoom them forward, zoom them back, you'll always get the exact same result at every point, because it's just maths and you're following the maths. And at any point where you look at the result of the fractal output, that's just the result of the maths, at that point in time.
Yeah.
It's completely deterministic. So, how does Steve think about these things? I think that could maybe inform some of the storytelling here.
That's interesting to me. Mostly for the simple idea that if what he personally thinks is relevant, then it's interesting that his personal philosophy or idea is embedded so deeply in this, on the sense that it doesn't come across as a very philosophically written game. It's kind of like backdrop philosophy in a sense. It's kind of a moot point. But it's more interesting that it's I guess what he personally thinks would be directly what we would expect to come out of the game, as opposed to a thought experiment of determinism versus otherwise.
Well, see, it's the sort of thing, how do you engage? Let's just say you believe in aspects of determinism, to the point where it's let's just say somebody murders somebody, and you're well, it is their fault, but hey, determinism, that person was always going to do that. It's just the sort of thing, if you can 100% describe something, let's just say, this item, how it's sitting there at a fucking quantum level, can you then sort of extrapolate out everything else and then wind the clock backward and forward? It's some of the sort of shit that people talk about. And, it's if you have that more, let's just say, a sort of a Sam Harris style view in free will, how does that impact you as a storyteller? Where it may be in that case, it's more about these characters kind of are, we're guardians of the pattern, literally.
Yeah.
Things are almost happening in a preordained way. Therefore, it's more about us watching these characters go and having empathy for them living through this reality. Fate is fate, but we still have to experience it.
Yeah.
Or is it more of a thing where actually, no, we have a lot of free will, and that's more, it's more about the active decisions the characters are making. So
yeah. So that's what I thought.
I wonder what he thinks about these things.
Yeah, well, it's hard to say this particularly because I'm looking at one small plot detail or one small plot point, which is the threads of fate in its existence. But the way that's written is very much, hang on, things aren't behaving as they should around you. Which, if you read into that, it's obviously implied that we aren't bound. Which also seems to be the general state of things. We're not bound to how things are going. We are definitely outliers as far as people are concerned. As far as, the other forces of the universe are concerned, we're outliers, and everything in Azeroth is an outlier. We're the only ones that survived the Burning Legion as step one, which means there's something special about us, which I think is which is where the Fateless stuff from Amalur comes into my head, where I think that we're being told we're part of this grand fate and this grand pattern. So I find it weird that we're going to ultimately guard it when all of the, all of the plot hints and philosophy hints to me read exactly as, no, you Azerothian, especially considering we can engage with the first one stuff, and the jailer was really taken aback by that, then that implies that we're special. But if we're special because we're chosen one, versus special that we're the unchosen one in a way. It's kind of weird.
It's like we don't have a place in the plan, and that's what gives us agency.
Yes.
Which then is fun because so far all of our agency has done is help our enemies, which
Yeah.
certainly feeds us back into being more of a fatalistic thing.
Yeah.
I will say, sorry for the few people who communicated having a little bit of an existential dread. I appreciate that these are all, odd things to think about.
Yep.
But I mean, as they say, it is what it is.
That's what it was. Thanks, Michael, for saying.
you legend.
Elisan said fate and time around us, eddied around us, and none of the futures she saw accounted for. That was the other thing that I had in my head. That was a very clear lead from that point into this about us being fateless and
Michael,
us
well done.
not being involved in the pattern. So thank you for that.
Yo, I think there's a video on this, man.
Obviously, certain there is.
There's a video, or at least a podcast.
Yeah.
This is interesting. Yeah. Cool. Interesting. I don't know what else to do. What makes us unique? That all remember the Shuhalo stuff from the Embrace, or is it? No, it's from Thingy Earth Mother.
Yeah.
Oh man. Very interesting. Then, of course, there's option 4. It's just a product of a scuffed forge, not really much intent. Or 5 artists' oversight. Maybe they didn't know it was supposed to be a pre-rune or Holes of Val, which I don't think is likely.
No, I can't imagine. There was a secret 6th option that I had in my head, but I couldn't really prepare or think about it too hard in time, which is that kind of following up on it being the product of the scuffed forge, in that I couldn't make sense of it, but the jailer trying to, I don't know, the jailer trying to make himself a new body, one that wasn't all runic and chest hole. But then, first of all, he learned how to use domination, so it doesn't make sense that he, wouldn't want the runes. And also, it's hard to justify that they would print the same thing even if he decided to change it, because he has control over it. But that was more of it me trying to think of every possible reason this thing would exist. And I don't even know which one I'm leaning for at the minute, outside of probably option 1. I think that's the only one. Option 1 or option 4 are my takes, I think.
Yeah.
Because it's definitely not going to be option 2, because that is difficult, and 3 also difficult.
Yeah, so there you go. This is stop 1 in our fun little tour of the jailer, because we are going to stop into the Taliesin station soon.
Yep.
But first, actually, we've got some new Jailer Sylvanas voice lines.
That we do. Some
Some were data mined previously, though now we've heard them voice acted. Now, these are some very, yeah. Sorry, I just had a little moment of, we're talking about,
Your efforts are meaningless, mortals.
as, a certain somebody would say, pitiful mortals. Your efforts are meaningless, mortals.
Yep.
Woo!
Oh, that's a
Oh no.
yeah, that's a pretty good point, Anthony. Maybe he's creating a new being in his own image. That would make sense if he created those as, because he wants everyone to serve him and be him. He's the outlier to all of this stuff. So that would make sense that he was creating what the remade reality looks like. It's just we all look a little bit like sad robot him, which is a bad reality.
Yeah, so here's what's fucked up, right? The pattern is flawed. So they're defender of the pattern. He's saying it's flawed. We're defending it.
Yeah, we're
the
guarding it.
pattern
Yeah. The pattern, the
Patterns-
practical, the geometry.
tend to be, they have like a set
Set in
description,
stone, yeah.
so, So, but this is where the jailer really fucks me off. He says, the pattern is flawed. Reality must be remade. I will see it done. But why? Fucking tell us, you dickhead. Why?
What's
What
wrong-
does that mean?
what's wrong with
Because all that we know so far, all that you've bloody showed us, Blizzard, is he just wants to be on top and have everyone serve him. So, reality being remade, I don't give a shit about that. What people give a shit about is character motivations. You get payoff for on a character's journey, and his journey is just to be the big man at the top and take over the world, basically. Now he's doing that by wibbly wobbly bullshit, but that's just that. It's just plot stuff. Plot serves character. So what is your point? That's what I want to know. That's why I was even thinking about Denuzer and philosophy and some of that stuff earlier. It's that's what I want to know.
Yeah, we don't really have a
have no way
why.
of knowing.
We don't really have a why, and we also don't really have a how. Because the how is nebulous as I'll have the access to the big machine.
It is. Azeroth is at the center of the cosmological chart that was in that book we published a while ago. Death comes from the soul of your world. Your end has come. Terrors arise and obey.
Also, how does he, like, that's the thing. He's not death anymore. He's not indicative of death.
No, he's just some dude.
He's part of death. But he's, you know, he's more embodied, the embodiment of domination magic than he is anything else. He's not really death. Because obviously the Winter Queen's also death. The Archon's also death. So unless he's just being egotistical, I don't know.
Look at that.
Interesting.
He thinks he should be death because he knows better. All right, so your round is... Yeah, I know I've done this. Right. Anduin encounter. So this happens during the Anduin encounter. Sylvanas, break his hold, Anduin. The strength lies within you. The Jailer. What do you know of strength, betrayer? I mean, again...
What do you mean betrayer?
I mean, she did betray him, but he also betrayed...
Oh, him, yeah, fucking... Never mind.
I mean, he also betrayed her, so
Yeah.
it's like, you lacked the strength to protect... You lacked the strength to protect your people as you fell before Frostmourne. You are weak, Windrunner, and the weak are made to serve. Serve! Don't say serve. Oh, dear.
That word removes all my brainwashing.
And then the Jailer... See, it's lines like this that make you feel like the devs are actually just... They're just sitting back, playing Soggy Biscuit, laughing at you, where they just say, can your mortal minds fathom? No! Because you've not fucking told us what's going on!
Yeah, it's not that we can't fathom what's going on. It's that we just don't know what's going on. It's the equivalent of being like, oh, well, you're really stupid for not knowing the answer. You're like, well, how the fuck am I supposed to know the answer? You didn't tell me. It's like people who think they're stupid because they watch The Chase and don't know any answers. It's like, no. Quizzes aren't stupidity, they're knowledge.
Yeah.
So we're not, you know, it's not that our mortal minds can't fathom it. So you didn't give us the study sheet, Zoval. That's the problem.
I think Nightbot is being extremely aggressive here.
Yes, Nightbot is hyper aggressive.
I'll
I'll tone him down a bit today. That was for Endwalker spoilers.
But, like, that's the thing. Like, can your mortal minds fathom? We can follow the plot as best we can. And you can follow the plot. We do.
Yep.
That's why, you know, yes, we have our lore speculation videos that we do because we enjoy speculating about lore. And then we have our videos like the Lich King one that are more trying to draw it all together to clearly communicate the plot straight for everyone. Yeah. But it's like when the Jailer says this, it's like that line, not only does it mean nothing, you know, that may as well just be him saying pitiful mortals. It's not that it means nothing. It's just, it reinforces to us how much Blizzard have purposefully told us nothing about this character's motivations and now are trying to cash in on how they've done a terrible job at explaining this character. I've never seen... Like, I honestly think Zoval, he might be the worst villain I have ever seen in media. He's certainly the most offensive villain I've ever seen in media because of how they have used him and how they've tried to bootstrap him being cool by tying him to things you liked in the past. That's the bit where it almost feels like malicious storytelling to me. I honestly, I hate what they have done with Zoval, and I hate what he's done to the overall lore of Warcraft. Somebody there saying Meteon over Zoval, 1,000,000% true.
Yeah. And then the message was immediately deleted because of spoiler protection.
Sorry the Nightbot got you, but I saw the message and I do agree with you.
Yeah, and I'm going to keep specific words blocked because spoilers are still bad.
When you take inspiration from Game of Thrones Season 8, yeah, sorry, Game of Thrones Season 8's fucking trash.
Yep.
You know, those same plot beats could be hit very successfully. You just have to do them properly. You can't do things like, I guess Danny just kind of forgot. It was, you know, can we just fire that fucking duo of idiots into the fucking sun?
You wouldn't want... no, you wouldn't want that.
I want...
Because if you fire them into the sun, then all their polluted cosmic dust will fill the place.
Oh, shit. Yeah, but anyway, look, suffice to say, I mean, I know people, I've done it before, they like to call out. You can enjoy what you want.
Yeah.
I often enjoy B movies and enjoy trash movies, but I do so knowing they're shit. I enjoyed parts of Game of Thrones Season 8 because I like looking at production design, and frankly, Game of Thrones Season 8 was a pretty fucking great B-movie. But please don't let your personal subjective experience of it blind you to the actual results that produced when it went out to a large and engaged populace. Because if you lose sight of why that did not work, and I mean, this is kind of a bit more direct in Steve's direction because he tweeted that. It's like, think what you want about the thing subjectively, but you have to understand how it actually played out in reality and, learn a lesson from that. And it's learning the lesson that's the important thing. That's all we can ever want to do.
I mean, it's the same thing we always kind of, I've had to say it before, but, actually Chad Flynn saying is not true anyway. There's a decent breakdown of how FF14 handles villains that we'll go into in the spoiler cast. That's substantially different. But anyway, the thing about storytelling is a lot that I guess it's what you say about liking what you like and the results. But I guess that kind of comes down to you're writing for yourself, but you're also writing for an audience, and you're also writing for results of your product being shown to that audience when it comes to making a product. That's obviously the thing. It'd be great if World of Warcraft was just pure, this is pure made for love, money's not involved, but it's made for money, which is a sad reality of things, and it kind of has to be done that way.
It's interesting people are bringing up Tally's video and sort of the context of the copium, and it's like, I do think that Taliesin's video is essentially right.
Yeah.
I think that he goes a little bit too far into the David Blaine. I mean, I really liked him bringing, or not David Blaine, Darren Brown.
David Blaine.
I liked him bringing up Darren Brown because that is really interesting stuff, and I think it does make a really good point. The only issue that I would take is that it's less monkeys and typewriters. It's less running a million experiments and seeing how they all go, and I think it's far more, we only see the branches in the decision tree that he took. And that, I think, is the key. And he took many branches. Not all of them worked. But it's not like he had one master plan. And it's also not like he just went and did 500,000 things just to see what happened. No. And I actually think that this is essentially what Tally does think and is the core thesis of his video as well. So I think this is something we're actually in alignment. Where we only see the branches in the decision tree that Zoval took. And, some things failed, but out of the failure, he was able to work out something else to do. That is the case. I think the issue is that Blizzard that is, I think, literally what happened. And I think where we would actually all agree is that Blizzard have told that story terribly. Because they say things like, how long have I waited? Every event set into motion, every pawn put into play. Another thing saying, the Jailer's never known defeat.
Yeah.
Blizzard, you're wrong. We defeated him in Wrath of the Lich King. Bolvar defeated him when he put the helm on. The Jailer's been defeated all the fucking time. He has known defeat. His entire fucking arc is marked by him overcoming defeats.
Yeah.
So it's like Blizzard have got some very poorly considered lines in the game. And then these things, it's the Jailer saying this to spook us out.
Yeah.
But as players, when we sort of see this maybe in a more metatextual level, because this is him talking to us, but we see it as him talking to our character and him talking to us. And then, we think about the broader game, including even the things that our character doesn't know. And then those things don't ring true. So it's that weird thing. Of course, Zoval would like to pretend that it's all this perfect plan so he can be more menacing. That's like what a villain would do to spook you out, right? But it just doesn't fucking ring true in the, experientially, because his motivations haven't been set up. Oh, what a terrible villain.
Yep. Pretty bad.
So next up, Sylvanas and Tyrande. This could be from the last chapter. I submit to the judgment of Tyrande Whisperwind. This is very likely the last chapter of the 9.2 campaign that's not, probably not going to be in the PTR. In a recent interview with Game Rant, link below, it was confirmed that there would be, quote, some very heavy interaction between Sylvanas and Tyrande, and that would be pivotal to the final conclusion of the Shadowlands saga. There is going to be some very... Oh, wait, no, that is what he said, yeah. So, there you go. There'll be some sort of showdown, and I think this is ultimately where Tyrande has to prove she means it when it came to choosing renewal over vengeance.
And she definitely will. For reasons that I can only really say to patrons of the channel because they have access to the video.
Which? Oh, the Sylvanas video?
Yes.
The power of love is going to save Sylvanas, I think.
Yeah. Oh, have you seen what Nikki did with it? It's great.
Yes, actually, YouTube chose that as the auto-generated thumbnail.
Yeah, it's great. Anyway.
So, yeah, there we go. I mean, of course, something like that was going to happen. All right.
Yeah.
Just to go over some other things then.
Yep.
New Shaman Ghost Wolf glyphs, Vulpine and Lupine. Hey, they look great. Lovely.
Yep.
Other 9.2 stuff, we got some loading screens, which, as always, have got gorgeous work from the art department of Blizzard.
Yeah.
Of course, over here in Northern Ireland, we love a good hexagon.
We do
Giants
indeed.
Causeway, we're big fans of hexagons.
I really like how those look without the loading screen barriers. The fact that it's just like hanging over onto the transparency layer is pretty cool.
Yeah, it's nice. To move on then, we got mythic titles where you said Guardian of the Pattern, which, I mean, again, someone has a deterministic feeling plan for the universe,
It's
it
the first one.
seems.
Guardian, we're Destiny now.
Oh boy. So then we've got, so the famed Bane of Zoval the Jailer.
Man, why'd they have to say Zoval the Jailer? Why not Bane of the Jailer or Bane of Zoval? Come on. It's like just, it almost feels like it's literally, just in case you forget who he is, here's both his names.
Yep. Then, THD. I'm also just saying, really hope they remove the Hall of Fame requirement for Cross-Realm Mythic and just have it right up in Mythic launch, and that you redo Mythic bosses the same week for no loot if you wanted to just help out other guilds or go for parses if that's what you enjoy. Preheat sort of chiming in as well, just saying the result is I just log out after I'm done running my weekly Mythic and farm, so maybe some thoughts there. Also, the Infinite Augment Rune. So, similar to the way they've done it in the past, get to Exalted, drop a bunch of change, you will get an Augment Rune that you can just use all the time.
Yep.
Next up then, we've got the Soul Shape Journal add-on. This was highlighted by Wowhead in a recent article. And basically, if you just want a nice way of tracking all of your soul shapes and critter shapes, then there you go. It's just a journal for them.
Yep.
I think that's really neat. And hopefully they can carry these things over in the future. That would be very nice. I love how this add-on perfectly blends in with the established UI of World of Warcraft. It's very seamless.
Yeah. I wonder, will the add-on skins maintainer throw an LVI skin for that in as well? I wonder.
Oh, yeah.
But I was going to say about you saying hopefully they can roll this in. I was about to say, no, clearly not. They've never done that before.
Well, yeah, true. But hopefully we're in a new time.
I'm wrong. Click.
Oh?
Because they've literally included click
Oh,
and mouse over
course,
functionality
yes.
now. They literally just went, here's the click add-on. It is now in the game. Not literally, because I don't think it did any communication. It was like a recreation. Obviously, because the source code's just there, they could have done it without saying a word to the developer, which would be a bit rude. But, they clearly very much did it. And you're like, oh, nice. So there is, that would be a really cool way for Blizzard to kind of move forward, I think, which is to go, you know what? We've taken our head out of our asses. This is good functionality. We're going to go, hello, add-on developer. Could you, do you have any like really strong kind of, I guess, performance test data for this? So we're sure it won't destroy the game, or we can add it to our base UI. Can we do this? And then go, yep, copy paste the code, make whatever changes their programmers do, and sorted. Imagine the idea of them just throwing in add-ons like that. Oh yeah, and Raider.io, of course, they added that as well.
Yeah.
So the idea of them just going, what's that functionality you like from LVI? Fuck it, it's in the game. Might be pretty cool.
Could be.
As long as they don't put DBM in the game. Because that's certainly a problem for a reason.
So the next thing then, it's time to talk about Taliesin's video. So it's based off this shitpost from Comically Lane. And, Tally says, this is a shitpost, it's having fun. And it's basically just this sort of idea of, wow, the Jailer's 5,000 IQ plan results in, it's dependent on 500,000 things so that we then go and kill Argus. And, then a whole bunch of other... And it's just that thing where it's like, this is such an improbable plan.
Yeah.
And it's a shitpost. It's trying to have fun with it. I don't exactly think the OP 100% believes that this is how it is.
Oh no, they said it was a shitpost.
Yeah, it's a shitpost.
Yeah, I mean they literally responded to Tally's video in the comment going,
comment,
the whole point is this is just me taking the piss.
Yeah. So, and I think that's just to maybe the thing that's really going for is how Blizzard have portrayed the intelligence of Zoval.
Yeah.
And how he's been connected to so many things, and just the fact that he has that many connections makes you think, oh wow, million IQ.
Yeah, definitely.
So The T&E video is basically just saying, you know, did he plan this literally all a few million years ago and it's all happened just so? You know, Tally's video is basically just being like, well, no, obviously not. Tally's just sort of more saying he's always... Basically, Tally frames the jailer as being very opportunistic.
Yeah.
And I would say he is opportunistic, but, you know, more importantly, he has a clearly defined goal that he wants to get to. He's always going to move himself in that way. And whenever something doesn't work, he's going to, you know, is he going to just quit? No. He's obviously going to adapt his plan.
Yeah. That reminds me of what I was going to say about the line of him never knowing defeat. It depends on what you define defeat as. Because is defeat, you know, as a callback to Kelthus, has he been defeated, or has he just had a very large series of setbacks that he's gotten over? So he's arguably, you know, I have never known defeat. Translator's note, I've been knocked down a load of times, but I've gotten back up every time. That's, I think, a possibility.
Yeah, and certainly one that will confuse and mislead players.
Yeah.
It's tricky. I mean, it's fine if he says that.
Yeah.
And then, you know, there's other things in the game where people are like, you know, not really, actually. So, you know, Tally's video is just kind of like saying, you know, sort of in a more sort of comedic fashion, that he's an opportunist. He's always, you know, he's always playing his hand, doing everything that he can. And that's led him to this place where it's like, the Arthas plan failed. Damn.
Oh, well.
But hey, that Banshee lady that he created now has killed herself. And oh, maybe I can make use of her because I'm kind of in the business of influencing people in and around Azeroth because that's what I really want. And that does make a lot of sense, actually. And that's always... I mean, okay, look. The only thing I'll say is some people, and I don't know if this is his intent, or maybe it came across too much in the final edit or something. As I said earlier, it's like he has a goal. He knows it's far away. So he's like, how do I get to this goal? Okay, well, here are all the pieces on the board. Here are the pieces that I can collect. And here's how I'm going to play them. And then he plays, you know, he plays his hand. And after, you know, he's played his opening gambit, he's like, okay, well, these things have worked. These things haven't worked. So I'll move that bit there, blah, 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 blah. And, you know, it's just playing a big, long game of chess. Where not every, you know, your opponent's going to thwart some of your moves, but that doesn't mean you've lost. So that's, I mean, honestly, because that's how decisions and time are, I always just thought that's what it was. I never thought that it's like, you know, the jailer was like, I'm going to help Sargeras fall now, and this is going to lead to Sylvanas Windrunner, the Banshee Queen, who hasn't been born yet, doing all these things, and me controlling her, and then me starting a fourth war in Azeroth so that I can... No, I don't think anyone ever thought the jailer thought that. Maybe some people did. But I think it's more that, like, Blizzard have tried to make him seem like he's so fucking intelligent. And it's not that people think he literally planned all of this from the start. I think it's just that there's not that much believability that he was so giga smart all the time. And I think that's just being mixed in with something a lot of people have called out for a long time, that Zovaal is a new villain. They are trying to bootstrap themselves into having a Thanos, like, instantly, instead of doing it slowly over time. And the way they've done that is connecting him to things you already know in the past.
Yep.
And I think people are pissed off about that. So the mixture of that and his portrayal in-game is what's led to the 5,000 IQ thing. And I do think the 5,000 IQ meme is basically spot on to the emotional experience of this character and why people think he's really lame.
Which, I mean, I think, you know, by trying to hammer home that people don't actually believe this is kind of like defeating the point that the important part is the experience of it all.
Yes.
And the experience of it all is that the 5,000 IQ plan is clearly what the experience of it is the minute.
Yes.
Which is ultimately the problem.
And that's Blizzard's storytelling.
Yep.
Yeah, so this is, you know, one thing we wanted to bring up here, just some voice lines in the game. And I think there's a bunch of others you wanted to get as well, but we ran out of time.
Yeah, this is very much a kind of, I guess, well, it says here what Blizzard tell us. This was me trying to put together quickly what everything that actually, what we hear about him is. I only picked up basically the cliff notes, but even from the cliff notes, there's enough to say there's a little bit of, oh, hey, this is clearly going to happen.
Yes.
Or, oh, hey, it's clearly one way. Then there's other stuff that's like, no, it's clearly another. If you read them at face value.
So like the jailer says, a relic of the first ones responding to a mortal. Impossible!
Yeah, which is literally like, you know, if he had 5,000 IQ planned this whole thing, then us landing the Shadowlands and turning on the portal should have been part of his plan. Otherwise, it wouldn't have panned out that way. Because if this was all his plan every stage, then we were the ones who gave him the other sigils or let him have access to them. Handy enough. We dropped all of the guards and even brought the Primuses to him. So we were a part of that. But if he didn't know that we could get out of the mod to do that, then he clearly didn't know. So that kind of breaks it apart slightly a little bit.
Yeah.
If you assume it's every step of the way it was planned. Which it clearly wasn't, because you're not very good at forming the ultimate plan and micromanaging it if ultimately one bit of information you don't know, I guess. But
yeah, pretty much. And you know what? I'm going to grab something to write on soon, because I actually think just by a quick little diagram, this entire thing can be explained mega intuitively in no time. So I
don't even think it needs explained.
Have anything to...
I think everyone just kind of knows.
Yeah.
Oh, don't be such. You're so unprofessional.
I can write on this. How about, could you read the next set of lines from the Jailer?
From the Jailer?
Oh, yeah. So nothing escapes them all.
Yeah, so it's mostly, this is focused on it being yield to the inevitable. Nothing escapes them all. Yield to the inevitable. The light is with me, even here, says Anduin. Go, champion, go. Make it through the portal. I'm the sacrifice. Then the Jailer goes, interesting. Obviously, someone who knows what's happening doesn't say interesting, because interesting is new information in your head. And then, Anduin's like, oh, you failed. But no, I have precisely what I need. Which, if you're thinking about this in the context of him being interesting, so he doesn't know what's going on, but then going, no, I have what I need, that implies that in that second he went, no, I can use you to do my dirty work. Because he knows who he is, and he knows that the light is with him. So he probably saw the, I could infiltrate the Kyrian with you. Which kind of implies he's smart. And is able to, create that plan on the go. So I think that's the thing I took away from that when reading it under this perspective, which is definitely reading too far into it. But then we have the kind of, the next step, which is a little bit contradictory in a sense, which is obviously when Mal'Ganis comes in and goes, no, it was all part of the Master's plan. For eons we have done the Master's bidding in secret across countless realities. And then, says the Legion, the Scourge, the Argus, all pawns in the game beyond your grasp. And that implies again that, all of this was planned.
Yes.
Everything was planned. By that one line in the void of information, you're not going to assume. Because Mal'Ganis isn't going to say, this was pretty wacky, but somehow it turned out okay.
And all of this is why what I'm about to say kind of it's really important, but it doesn't matter. And it's like this crazy thing. So if you were to, I have awful handwriting.
Oh my God.
But
how do you expect anyone, have you just drawn a branching diagram?
Yes. With a little box. So here's the thing, right?
How did it take you so long?
This is the start, right, for the Jailer. This is the start for the Jailer, and this is where he wants to get. And here's just kind of imagine this is just a little diagram.
Sorry. There you go.
Yeah, so this is the start. This is his goal. This is where he wants to get to. Or maybe this is just where we see him right now. Yeah. And you can sort of see, every branch in this is a different path.
You cannot see that on the lighting on that camera.
Oh, balls.
Yeah, ham it. This may be able to get.
Only thing is it won't be in focus.
Yeah, in focus. This is going to be difficult.
Won't be in focus.
See, now I have to wait to see the output on stream.
Oh,
so this is really terrible. Okay, so it's not in focus. People can kind of see it. So you see what, imagine a tournament bracket.
Yes. So
it's a tournament bracket, fuck's sake. That's what you've drawn.
Yeah, no. But here's the thing. So there's this.
Put your hand behind it and block the light. Because the lights, should be okay.
Okay.
Yeah. Yes, it's the light was a problem.
Okay, so, there's the start, there's the end.
You've turned it towards the light, you fucking goon. There you go.
Oh, sorry, I wasn't...
Yeah, it's that light.
Oh, it's that light.
Yeah, it's that light that's hitting
that light. Okay.
Yeah.
So there's the start, there's the end. Everything in this decision tree is, that's a fork in the road, right?
Mm-hmm.
And, in reality, this is what it could look like. Loads of failed plans. Loads of things that he tried and didn't work out. But the only ones that we see are the one that I have the dotted line around. That maybe looks like that. So if all those voice lines that Matt said are something you hear, and the only things that you know are the things that led him down the path that he actually took, you're not going to appreciate all the things in this decision tree that he tried and fucked up.
Yeah,
that failed. And that's basically, it's a perception thing. A big part of narrative design is how your narrative is experienced. And just because you know the lore in your head, that doesn't matter, because as far as your user is concerned, the only thing that matters is what they can see, what actually exists in their experience.
Yeah.
Are you having fun over there?
Sorry, I'm trying desperately not to interrupt him by laughing, because I could just see everyone in chat saying, why not just use Paint? You've got a computer in front of you that you can show people, and you're like, I need a fucking diagram physically.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
I forgot. That's what Twitch streamers do, isn't it? They always bring up Paint.
Yeah. So
Sorry, I'm old-fashioned.
Oh my god, fucking hell. Yeah, but I think Cyan really has it right. You should have drawn an MS Paint and sold it as an NFT.
Oh man, that would have been it. Yeah, that would have been it.
It would have been just as bad as Konami.
And just those other things: events end emotion. How long have I waited? Can your mortal minds fathom every pawn put into play? Kel'Thuzad claims to have served Zoval all along.
Yep.
Fun. This is one of the things that we included in our Lich King video back in beta, and this was the bit that was like a wee bit more speculative, but now it's hard confirmed.
Yep.
So there you go.
Yeah.
It's like all of these things really make you feel like it is a 5,000 IQ plan. All of the people in his team are trying to communicate to us that it is a 5,000 IQ plan. Yeah. Of course, if you use a little bit of, what do they call facts and logic? Yeah. If you use just a wee bit of that, you can tell that obviously it's not like it's a million IQ plan and every single thing he did panned out perfectly. But the player experience is that it may as well have been that, and it cheapened all the things that you loved and got you into this franchise. Therefore, the fucking golden raspberry, or is it the Razzies they call them? The award for the worst narrative design in popular gaming, I would almost say in the last decade, it does go to the World of Warcraft team and Zoval.
Definitely.
I have never seen a villain, A, be done so badly within his own story, and B, be implemented into a game world in such a destructive way that is so disrespectful to the fans' investment in the franchise. And, that's basically the thing. It completely disrespects and shits on all of the past of World of Warcraft. And it does that because it's done badly. If this was done well, and it had enough time to breathe, this could have been a good storyline and a good plot. Maybe the lore, if somebody was to just break into Blizzard's server, steal all of their lore, and you laid it out, it could actually be really cool lore. But continually, it seems to me that team has bitten off fucking far too much they can chew. And maybe we'll actually find out that, and I have a video plan for dropped storylines. There's a few things I think that Steve and the boys have said that haven't exactly panned out, or plot lines are like, oh, this is going to come up and hasn't really came up, or, things like that. I also do wonder if Steve is just kind of sitting there being like, fucking hell, me and my team, look at all this lore we created, all of this, stuff in the story, and man, look how much of it got cut, or look how much of it that we never got the opportunity to show in the game because our production was behind. There's also that bit. This could all be full of great story, great lore, and great ideas, but the in-game bit gets completely fucked because maybe their production schedule is just a big mess.
Yep.
And, maybe that's why Folk and Fairy Tales is really good, but the in-game lore at the same time isn't really that good.
This is stuff that me and Jared and I, rather, to be correct, were talking about this earlier this week when we were talking about stuff for upcoming videos, like the dragon stuff.
Yeah.
The dragon stuff and some of the old god stuff. And you're like, okay, there's a lot of this stuff that is actually, the lore isn't bad. It's just most things surrounding implementation is fairly bad. And a lot of the stuff that happens with the Shadowlands and I guess the speed at which we've delved into the cosmos has been fairly grim in terms of implementation. But, the joking hypothesis I had was that Steve and the lore team and everyone who's working on narrative design do a great job of a lot of things. And then they walk over to the actual game development team and go, there it is, do whatever you want, we don't give a shit. Because that's what it kind of feels like to the player. especially one who's like, okay, I can see the point you're making. I can see, like, all your inspirations to these characters, your inspirations for this plotline. I can see them all pretty clearly and how they fit. You've clearly worked hard, but then you haven't done the bit of telling it to us. So it's almost the case that as much as we hate the idea of World of Warcraft splitting all story out and telling it in books and stuff like that is really bad. At the same time, one of the things I took away from, my conversation with Jared was this would likely be better if it was a series of books instead of a game.
Yeah.
Which is, I think, ultimately a failing of the entire team, which is very unfortunate.
Yeah, and look, it could be that a lot of WoW is driven by very gameplay people. I mean, we already know lots of the senior development team come from the Elitist Jerks Forum. And look, I know there's people in the Mythic rating community who are like, hey, we're not all just meathead gym bros.
Yeah.
We're actually, because the way sometimes you see like, people who maybe get built at the gym or, they get this like bad rap for being jocks and, not being interested in things. And, sometimes people kind of apply that to, and by the way, I don't mean this because actually a lot of Mythic Raiders are in fucking incredible physical shape. I'm not referring to that at all, and fucking more power to them. But like they obviously are interested in lots of other things. Loads of them, I'm sure, would love player housing or love transmog or love all of those other aspects of the game. But, you could maybe say in Blizzard, like, is it the case that the lore stuff hasn't been massively prioritized? I mean, they've certainly messed up lore in the past. And with lots of the very senior people in the team, like being from Elitist Jerks, being kind of like more, in the numbers and, number crunching and all of that, is there maybe just like not this institutional will to really put the experience of the world first?
Clearly not.
It doesn't feel like that.
Because they have, realistically speaking, they have bigger fish to fry. How are the director and his most trusted lieutenants at the team going to sit down and solve that problem when they have other problems to solve?
That's it. Prioritization is very challenging.
Yep. So I imagine that they know, oh, man, we'd really love to get all this stuff really, really right. And it's very important, but we have production issues to solve, first and foremost. We have some content issues to solve. And it's literally just which mole of the 20 moles gets whacked.
Yeah, and I guess that's it. Like, the realities of game production are so much more brutal than I think most people know.
Yeah, especially, I mean...
Because that's the thing, too. Like, there's not all that much modularity. Yeah. And that's the big thing. That means that even one thing can be a blocker to a whole patch. Yep. And it's just fucking rough.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, how do I put it this way? There's something I want to say that might come across as potentially mean to whoever implemented the feature, but the dance studio, as an example, I feel like the fact that looks the way it does and is gameplay the way it does is just, that must have been the best they could do within the World of Warcraft engine and the team, or the production time they were allotted for it, because it's definitely not particularly well implemented to look at, to see. You're like, that's...
Yeah.
Like, it kind of looks a little... Like, that would have been something that World of Warcraft would have been like, oh yeah, this is perfectly fun and cool, this is interesting in 2009, but we're 12 years on from then, 13 years now from 2009. I was like, if that's what you can do in your game, you certainly have bigger problems to solve than lacking content.
Yeah, that's pretty true. So really, that's a lot of it with the with the T&E video. I suppose it maybe seems in more people than I thought, like, quite literally would have thought that shitpost was factual, and it's not. And the OP of the shitpost even like admits, like, no, this isn't.
Well, it feels factual, so it might as well be factual.
That's the thing. Yeah. That's the thing, and I think one of the most important things is being right doesn't matter. You actually have to communicate it well, or else you might not be right. And no, I mean, also, like, there's obviously objective reasons why being correct is important, but don't hold "I'm right" over everything, because I think that's a lot of what's happened with some of the people who are very angry, and maybe it's like some of the people who are on the side of that video are angry at the people who are not, and then some of the people who don't like the video are very angry at the people who do like the video, and it's like, oh my god, everything's crazy. Truth always sort of lies in the middle.
Yeah,
often does.
Polarization strong for engagement, but not always the nicest thing to have.
Yeah, and unfortunately, Zoval's ended up. Actually, no, he's not a polarizing character. Everyone thinks he's
Yeah,
shit.
everyone thinks he's shit. Yep.
Yeah, so cool. I just wonder how Blizzard will respond to. I mean, look, I know that a lot of people in the World of Warcraft team, let's just say they will prefer Taliesin's videos over ours immeasurably.
Yep.
I know this factually, by the way. This is not a speculation. And that does mean that Taliesin does have quite a bit of influence and, clout there. And I think it is certainly going to sting for some of the people on that team who I think find Taliesin videos. I mean, no, I don't think. I literally know, because I've been told this, find the Taliesin videos to be very comforting. I think that's going to be a wake-up call.
Yeah.
Because, look, it's important that people are out there, and even when it's not popular to do so, that they're willing to steel man something. That, fair enough. But when the person who's, generally the one who's steel manning you the most is kind of coming in and being like, hey, guys, legit, this is, pitiful mortal. I'm laughing at this. This is bad. What are you doing? That's going to sting. And I think more than any video essay that I could do on Zoval, this is the one that's going to be far more impactful, because I think, he's probably the person they'd actually want to listen to. I know, right? So it's quite interesting. It's quite interesting. We shall see how it goes.
Yep, absolutely. I was going to say something. What was it? Dear, it's gone. Yes, no, I just wanted to highlight something funny. PK Rex said, Zoval is very polarizing. Either you wrote him or you hate him.
Oh, wow.
God. Not a very nice joke, but it's funny, I think. And the point of
is.
comedy is not to be nice, it is to be funny.
So, there's another MMO that we play.
Yep.
It's called Patch 6.0.5, Savage Panda and More, !
Yep.
So, change to what had been my main job. Maybe it will be. I'm trying out Red Mage at the minute.
Indeed.
So, ninja changes in FF14. Yep. Now, this is quite interesting. So, they've churned out these changes pretty fast, within a month.
Yeah.
Again, that's faster than a certain other game team tends to churn
Whole
out.
expansion, Shaman, sorry.
Yeah. So this is solving some frustrating usability issues, improving buttons overall. Now, their damage is still bad for their lack of utility and difficulty compared to the other melee jobs. Right. And their savage representation is also pitifully low.
Indeed. They are one of the worst, one of the least played jobs in the game. Very unfortunate.
Yeah, so look at
Very
the quantity of
unfortunate.
parses here, and you can see that, ninjas.
Yeah, and then you look at Reapers, you're like, you
A lot of
flavor,
Reapers.
you flavor the month bastards. Fucking play a hard job.
And I think that's just because, you do really, for how easy, or not easy, for the difficulty of Reaper, it does a lot of damage.
Yep. Also, they've got movement and survivability. You know what? Actually, I'm just going to say it. So far, they feel a little bit like Demon Hunters did.
Ha, yeah.
Just a little bit. Where it's like, yeah, we get all the fun. Fuck you. Like, what do you mean?
So, what has changed with Ninja?
So, it's very interesting overall, because they reverted a substantial amount of the Endwalker changes in effect. So, well, not really. That's a little bit unfair. It's maybe exaggerating a bit, but one of the things is that so after every Raiton, so after every lightning ninjutsu, you would get 2 stacks of, you would get Fleeting Reiju Ready, which turned into Forked Reiju Ready, which basically gave you 2 abilities that you would use both on the same button. You'd use one, then the other. But if you used any other weapon skill, they would cancel. So you had to use them. Then also, they had gap closers, which have animation locks in FF14. So if you weren't allowed to dash to your target, you would have to press another button instead to keep that GCD. And if you didn't have any non-weapon skill GCDs, then you would have to just waste your Reiju stacks, which was a damage loss and felt fucking horrible. Otherwise, you take a vulnerability stack or die from greed. So people were like, well, this is really fucking stupid. what the hell's going on here? So they fixed it. Sort of. They reduced it to 1 stack instead of 2, up the potency, and then give you the 2 buttons as different buttons. One that does the gap closer, one that doesn't. So after a write-on, instead of going, well, I have to press these 2, you go, well, I have to press one of them, and one of them is just a regular melee
Did
weapon
they not
skill.
do that with Red
Another's a
Mage?
dash.
Was
What
there
do you
something with
mean?
Red Mage with their movement thingy where they kind of...
Oh yeah, I guess technically
Split it
true.
up just a
It
little
was displacement and engagement, where one of them was the problem was that it was always the backflip that was damage. So then they changed it so there was 2 buttons that shared a recast timer, one being the same damage with a backflip, the same damage without a backflip. So I guess it's fundamentally the same. They also did something else, which was remove one of the extra buttons, because they gave you a new ability that you could use once after bunching every 90 seconds called Phantom Kamaitachi. And for some reason it was a different button. Instead of just bunching becomes Kamaitachi when it's ready. And then they changed that. You're like, interesting. Certainly something about job changes in Endwalker that are like, they're fundamentally good, but there's definitely some people going, what are you doing? Because Ninja One, for example, they clearly didn't think it that far through in terms of realities of playing, or they thought the cool factor mattered more than the actual, usability in fights. So Ninja are now probably going to be slightly a little bit scuffed overall going in because they had a bad rep to start with. Now they've low damage and they're still harder than most other jobs. So they're just kind of scuffed in that way.
How would you say Ninja is... I wonder. I don't actually have to ask you because I've played Ninja and Red Mage. Just trying to think about how they're different. I guess it's like there's a...
Well, one's melee and one's ranged.
Well, yeah, but like just complexity-wise. I suppose Red Mage is just you do your thing. It's rather linear, whereas maybe with
Yeah.
a bit more things to kind of weave into each other.
Yeah. No, I mean, a lot of jobs are fundamentally the same in terms of, well, here's your unique resources to play around with. Here's a unique pattern to your button presses. And then here's your weaving. So for so much of them, it becomes about keeping your weaves on as much cooldown as possible and fitting them inside your or whatever party buff window there is. And then keeping sure your party buff lines up every, whatever else. So it's
that's so brutal for dancers. Pretty low deeps. Although, yeah. I mean,
dancers with plenty of utility.
Sure. Yeah. No, as I go through the parses, like, yeah, no, it's the lowest by quite some margin.
Yeah, it's
for Ninja.
substantial. Yeah,
That's really rough.
Yep.
Yeah, very interesting. So otherwise, Dark Knights maybe 6.1.
Yeah.
And hey, Reapers, you're just a bunch of demon hunters.
Yeah.
Dear. So world first. Aspholos.
Asphodelos, which is a it is the flower in Greek mythology that grows in the underworld.
Oh,
That's
neat.
an asphodel. Also, asphodel, I learned from Matt that asphodel eventually transformed into the word daffodil.
Oh, shit.
Because asphodel turned into affodel, turned into affodil. Then the way Dutch people would say the daffodil was daffodil, and it became daffodil.
Oh,
But
that's
yeah.
really cool.
Yeah. So
I
that, yeah.
haven't jumped in. I know the FC guys have jumped in, but
It's been like a month. What the fuck are you doing?
I don't know. I was just...
It's been like 3 weeks, dude. No, I'm sorry. Sorry. No, it's been 2.5 weeks.
Well, you know what the run up to Christmas was like over
Yeah.
here. And then...
Yeah.
I don't know why. I honestly, I just kind of shut down over Christmas, to be honest.
I mean, it's
quite a year. But yeah, anyway, but again, there's not much FOMO in this game, so I can just sort of chill and do things when I want. That's what I like.
Yeah, that's exactly it.
So yeah, here, nice. Look at this. Look at this. Game
There it is.
director giving some thumbs up to.
Could you imagine how people would feel if... Because obviously I know Ian does respond with a congratulations tweet all the time to people. But imagine how people would feel if he responded with just a picture and be like...
It'd be great.
You're like, what the fuck?
It'd be great. We'd be happy. No,
yeah,
that'd be
everyone would be
great.
happy, but
Yeah.
people are like, this is a bit...
Yeah.
it would be unusual for him. That's what I'd say.
Doesn't he have to be in? Could be, say, Morgan Day. I mean, I don't think this is his role right now, but he was like a sort of a lead encounter designer, I believe. Even just someone from the raid team, just be like, hey, hope you enjoyed our raid. Woo. Just all those little things, you know, just build a little bit more camaraderie. Because actually, that's what we do want. We all want to be, you know, we want this big feeling that the, you know, the players and the devs are friends, and it's also our cordial and good.
Yep, absolutely.
So there you go, good stuff. Savage Panda, which to be honest, I just kind of like saying. Anyway, right, patch 6.0.5 FF14, obviously, you know, first wing of pandas there on Savage. It was kind of cool seeing the likes of even, you know, some of the WoW teams giving it a shot.
Yep, absolutely.
Cool to see. Of course, the winners are Thoughts Per Second, Aether Group, and Entropy. So big GGs to them. Yeah.
Killed in first day, too easy.
Just funny how none of that discourse
Nope.
seems to exist.
It's not as
This
big.
game.
They don't care.
Yeah. So then, Allegan Tomestones of Astrology and new gear. Players can only obtain... Astronomy. Whoops. Oh, yeah. Astrology's the...
Yeah.
That's the rumbly one. That is catching on
Can't say
these
that.
days.
Don't be saying that.
What, that astrology...
Rumbly. Don't be that.
Rumbly?
What do you mean?
It's a bit rumbly, bit weird, you know?
shit,
Bit
but-
rumbly and grumbly.
Yeah.
It's very weird that all the astrology is catching on, you know, as if the position of the moon has, you know... I mean, I guess the tides, but... I mean...
Are you trying to say that it's weird that astrology is catching on because the moon's in the same place as it usually is?
Well, the moon was obviously the wrong thing to say,
You
talking
lost
about
your
astrology.
fucking marbles.
But...
Okay,
you know all
well,
the people
yeah.
who are like, you're a Gemini, so therefore...
Yeah, so I will say I am definitely biased because I've spent the majority of the past... Yeah, I spent all of Wednesday and Thursday looking at Greek myth for planets and stars and stuff because video, but the whole thing is... Yes, astrology is a bit fucking wild. Maybe people are a little bit unreasonable sometimes. Maybe they're trying to say things that aren't necessarily backed in some sort of scientific method. But of course, so much of human myth comes from reading the stars and looking at the stars that there's almost certainly a truth to be found in astrology somewhere. I don't know where it is, but there's certainly a truth to be found somewhere that's likely a mystical truth that doesn't certainly line up with our modern ideas of science. But science doesn't know shit.
Yeah, but knows more every day.
Yeah.
Yes, it's the Mars of the gaps or whatever. Right, so players can only obtain 450 Allegan tomestones of astronomy, the good one, per week, and carry a maximum of 2,000. Moreover, players can only receive Allegan tomestones of astronomy after reaching level 90 with at least one disciple of war or magic.
There's your valor points again.
Yep, so basically...
There's your valor points for the
VP.
For the fucking what do you call it? The 5th expansion in a row. Enjoy.
Yeah,
Enjoy.
VP, it works. It still works.
Yep.
There's another game doing it, and they're a bunch of happy cappers.
Happy cappers indeed. That's a
Campers. Happy cappers. They're just
I thought cappers was a joke on capping your tombstones.
a bunch of happy cappers. There, fantastic. Wow.
Nice one.
I wish I was, smart and got that. Oh, Astrologian is cool. I mean, whenever I got to play Uber Danger for that, one little bit of the RP duty, I'm like, I don't know what any of this shit is, but he flips around. He has cool golden things. He has some cards. It's all very cool. So there you go. I was accidentally witty. It's the only kind of witty I tend to be. So yeah, there you go. Look at this. Do your shit. Help some players level. You'll get valor points.
Yep, and it is very nicely designed so that if you do everything there except mentor and frontline, because not everyone's a mentor, no one should probably be a mentor, especially not mentors. Frontline, people don't like PvP, fuck it, whatever. You can get 225. It's 225? Yeah, it's 225. You can get 450 per week, which means do all your roulettes twice a day. You'll get at least 450. Twice a week. Yeah, so 2 days a week.
There you go.
Yeah, or you could do expert 9 or 10 times, and you get 10 for doing raids and extremes. So you can also just kind of do those.
Happy days.
Yeah, sweet.
Nice. Relaxing. Happy.
Indeed. Yeah, one expert a day, and you're golden as well, based on how it lines up.
Yeah. So
Is that right?
it's good stuff.
Yeah.
Good stuff. Then next was the Excitotron 6000 treasure hunt.
Yeah, treasure maps.
Yeah, treasure maps. Whenever, all I know is I've never done them, and whenever you describe them to me, I thought they sounded cool. So what the fuck is this? The Excitotron 6000, a special instance similar to the dungeons of I'm so bad. Ligai?
See, this is the one thing that really annoys me. I am actually really unversed in how to pronounce Irish stuff.
I mean,
But
yeah,
that's the
what
guy,
happens
which
when
is
you grow up in Northern Ireland. And,
of course, of course.
Blah blah blah. The Brits.
Yeah,
Blah blah
of
blah.
course. Yeah. So, well, like I don't know. I don't know what's that.
So can be accessed after finding and opening treasure coffers obtained
okay.
from
Cumberskin.
Cumbroskin
Yeah.
treasure maps. Here, players will have a chance to test their luck and obtain priceless treasures.
Yep.
So
You can
sweet.
even get a what was it called? Fuck. Something that Connor rolled on but didn't get and almost won the roll that was worth like 500k. He was raging.
Oh.
But it is basically you buy a map, go to it, roll on stuff. If you're lucky, you get more stuff.
Well, how about me and you do that someday, and we do a little video out of it. I want to see what it's like.
Yeah, well, that would require you to play the fucking game at some point. Other people are playing the fucking game, Michael.
And that would require us to, fulfill our Patreon orders for December and get cracking for January and get our podcast recorded that we have a backlog for and get that Mage Tower video finished writing and get the next gaming channel video done and finish off our news recording queue. And then for me to market all the videos I have to market and do all the thumbnails for because Rory's back on Monday. I joke. We're kind of busy, and if I do not get to a bit of some video, it's generally just because of busy boys. Busy boys. Where's that caffeine injection? Like, why are we even drinking coffee at this stage? I want an IV.
Yep.
We should both just get like little backpacks of stimulants and just sort of, almost like Matrix style, have this little backpack just fucking plug into your spine and just be like, help, I need more productivity.
You've actually tired me out. As if I wasn't tired enough already.
I'm so sorry.
You've exhausted me. Well,
There, finally you can have a good night's sleep.
As if.
Oh man, so new crafted gear. I really like that. I really like the top. I mean, this is some,
good
sort
look.
of Dunedain Ranger looking cloak stuff that I like.
Good luck buying it.
Oh yeah.
Actually, last I checked, they were going for crafter gear. Was going for what? It looks gorgeous, but it's going for like 300k a pop. So
That's the floorboards of our office almost. Holy shit.
Yeah, actually.
Are you saying I can remake the office in FF14?
yeah, go for it.
Then we can never leave.
Go for it.
Oh no, it's the metaverse. It's the metaverse. Oh, Matsuda. Is it Matsuda?
Matsuda,
Yeah, finally.
Square Enix president.
Finally, the Square Enix president was right. We can do the metaverse in FF14. Fuck, there's no proximity-based voice chat. If only there was room and proximity-based voice chat in FF14, we could just drop this entire building and work virtually.
Yeah.
Perfect. Anyway, yeah, we've got some new house furnishing goods. Getting into this is one of the next things I want to do for sure.
Yeah. Also, Island Sanctuary 9.6.1. We'll hear more about that soon. TM.
That's gonna be so cool.
Yep. I can't wait to hear what I can't wait to hear specifically to annoy specific types of people. I can't wait to find out the delayed the Dragon Song Ultimate again. Anyway.
So yeah, there we go. Right. Next then, there's the Heaven's Turn event. Events keep on rolling. So the Heaven's Turn festival is upon us, and delegates from the Far East have arrived to spread word of their customary celebration. To this end, the Tora Bugyo would enlist your aid in spreading word across Eorzea to ensure the success of the festivities. So starts January 5th, ends January 19th.
Yep.
Event
Hey,
items.
that was 2 days ago.
Get these neat little headpieces.
Also,
Oh, is this like a home furnishing?
TL note, Torah means tagger.
Ah,
Yeah.
there we go.
Yep.
That's really cool.
Yep.
Oh, I like
kinda
that a lot.
screen.
All right,
Yep.
so I want to get that screen. Sweet. Of course, we have some New Year's greetings from Yoshida.
Yep. He's talking some good shit.
Yeah, though we regrettably had to delay Endwalker by 2 weeks right before it was originally slated. Complete failure in parsing. I'm tired.
Yeah.
It's now been a full 11 years since I came aboard FF14. I
Brutal,
feel
man.
I've put everything I have into this expansion.
That's why he's 40 years older.
Yeah, I'm certainly curious to know what sort of impression it's left with you. Setting game content aside, large influx of players since mid-year and the impact of COVID-19 and supply of server equipment has led to extremely long login queues. I'd like to sincerely apologize again. We're currently working to fundamentally address the situation, such as adding logical data centers and increasing the number of worlds in all regions, and we ask for your patience in the meantime. Now then, as the title suggests, Endwalker winds up the tale that has been woven since 1.0. However, FF14 itself is far from over, and we've already begun creating new journeys for all you Warriors of Light or adventurers, or adventurers rather, to embark upon. As a matter of fact, just as I was thinking about the next adventure, I noticed that a piece of paper had been left on my desk, and what should be written on it but another poem.
Yep, he does this every year, and it's from a different, same person, but a different person every year. It's very cute.
I can barely. Let's see.
Okay,
So
do you want me to read it?
Yes, you'll do it with
Okay.
justice.
Okay. So wanes the moon before the sun, its journey ended, home at last. So look we now to days ahead, unfettered from our trying past.
I like that message. I very much hope it pans out, and not just in game.
Yep,
Indeed.
Jinx.
Yeah, that's us. That thoroughly jinxed. Yeah.
It took me so long to remember what word you're supposed to say when you say the same word. Fucking hell. Anyway.
Oh dear. So he says.
Yeah.
So he says FF14 has surpassed 10 years of operation, a goal all MMOs should aspire towards.
One that SWTOR is doing now.
Yep. Oh, indeed. And now we set our sights on 10 more. The first step in the new leg of our journey is patch 6.1, ahead of which we'll take an opportunity to share our plans for FF14's future. Please look forward to it.
That's going to be a good live letter.
Yeah. It's crazy to think that 2022 marks my 12th year at the helm of FF14. Sometimes I can't help but be amazed that I haven't gotten bored with it, but then there's so much more I want to achieve with FF14. As I previously said, I consider it my life's work, and I hope to continue developing and growing the game with you all. Endwalker is the culmination of everything we've built up over 11 years, and I'm well aware it will be extremely difficult to surpass. But just like your adventures and the efforts of the development operations teams, we'll continue to build on our wealth of tales, experiences, and emotions, and endeavor to reach new heights. Yeah, and you know what? I wonder, because all of this was born out of a really troublesome start.
Yeah.
And with all that they've learned, it would be interesting to see how they set things up anew.
Yeah.
We'll learn a lot.
Yeah, that's the thing I'm very, very interested by, because obviously, I suppose they did do plenty of setup for different things as they went along. They didn't set the whole 10 years up during A Realm Reborn, but them returning to an era of this shit is going to be all primarily new, and we don't have any massive thing looming over your head. How are we going to take it slow? Because obviously they proved that they can go fairly slow, but also have tensions running high and stuff during Endwalker and a couple times during Shadowbringer. So I'm very impressed in seeing what they'll do with just basically everything going forward. Because obviously, this is a prime opportunity for them to throw out some things that exist that they don't really like. But I guess the problem is that the game will continue as the same game. The only thing that's new is the framing and the story. So you kind of have to go, what can you do that's really new? And also, how are you going to, I guess it's a case of Shadowbringers and Endwalker had so much history to rely on that if they're trying to separate from history with 6.1 going forward. But then I guess that's the thing. They've got until the next expansion of building. So by the time 6.5 is done, when we get the expansion announcement, we will probably be like, fuck yeah, give us the next expansion right away. If they can build as well as they usually do. And obviously they usually build to the next expansion in 2 patches. So them having 4 patches to do is going to be fun, I think.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Yep. I think
So-
what Kaleo Lee says is interesting, which is even if FF14 doesn't reach the heights of SB and Endwalker again, I'd be content to just living in that world at relative peace and being a wanderer. And I think that's one of the problems where
I like Azeroth, by the way. Hey,
Yeah.
Blizz. That's actually a great thing. Because I spent so much time in Azeroth, just something that was actually just hanging in Azeroth. I'm so down for that.
That's
Because to be honest, the whole infinitely, crazy big plot line, the FF team can do that better because their entire game is geared towards doing that.
it's FF
WoW,
game.
it's a FF game. WoW isn't an FF game. Maybe WoW's natural strength is just hanging in Azeroth
It's
and
zone
a
stories.
vibrant and zone stories and a vibrant MMO experience. That's what WoW should do. None of this jailer crap. Just try to think like, what is the next setting that our players would love to be in? And maybe that'll mean that you're, and this is a nice thing about Zereth Mortis. It is not a horrible, depressing hellscape. But, I'm tired of our zones being like, oh my god, we're in the darkest sanctum of the evil. It was nice being like, oh, Mechagon, woo, fun. It was just nice places to be.
Yeah,
So,
where some people,
lessons.
where some like races we're familiar with and people we're familiar with going, hey, what's up? Yeah, I mean, they kind of aped a little bit of that with Kultirans, but they were still, a very different culturally set of people to like the, Eastern Kingdom humans. So they've just like, oh yeah, just here's a load of dudes we know. Sweet. What's happening, dudes we know? Or not literally know, but, recognize. They're like, yeah, just been chilling here for a while. Like, sweet, deadly. Good stuff. But
Another little thing, just to sort of finish off the point, just of, Yoshi P being pretty damn effective.
oh, yeah.
Just a message from the producer in FF 16, where he's a producer on that game, and I don't want to go through the whole thing, but basically their plans are knocked back 6 months. They were going to do a reveal like late 2021, I think.
Yeah.
And they've kicked that back 6 months because the game's just it's not ready yet. There we go. He just said what was up, and now people get it.
Yeah, and he also obviously gave the explanation of the reasons of the outsourcing, the optimization problem, stuff like that. They're like, yeah, cool.
Just wonderful.
Yep.
This
Very
is
good.
all we want. I mean, imagine if we had this for WoW, the WoW patches that have taken a while.
Yeah, wouldn't it be nice to have? Well, I suppose, yeah. Yep, it'd be very nice. But I guess there's almost too much meta around the patch stuff.
Yeah.
there.
Well, I gather like Ian's a really busy guy, so there's other people in the team. Like, it doesn't have to be a letter from the director. I mean,
Yeah.
Ghostcrawler did the water cooler
coolers, yeah.
posts, and he wasn't game director. He was like lead systems designer. He was a lead. I mean, he was a pretty high ranking designer, but
Yep.
so something like that. Just nice as Kaji says, they're clear, transparent, direct. That's what we want.
Yeah, and not from a PR bot, which I think is the problem of. Well, we know how Blizzard handle PR. We know how PR is very has a lot of oversight, whereas we know Yoshi P has a blank check in terms of that entirely, where he's like, no, I run this game the way I want to.
And people should remember, because we don't want to be blasting like say Ian and Steve Denuser and all of these people for not doing the communications we want. Because remember, Ian would have been happy to have talked to Preach, probably wanted to. Jeff Kaplan. I mean, at that time, who would have more sway at Blizz than Jeff fucking Kaplan? Overwatch, Blizzard's big success. Jeff wanted to talk to Stylosa. Stylosa wanted to talk to Jeff. They have each other's email. That's how they ended up talking to each other, going around PR, which made them furious.
Yep.
It's not that Ian was scared of Preach or, Ian was like, oh, this could be a bad strategic PR move. They actually wanted to talk. It was just PR wouldn't let him, and it was all crossed wires and weirdness, So it just goes to show, like, for these guys, maybe they don't have that freedom. And maybe one of the reasons that FF14 has got these good communications is that, Yoshi P has got that blank check.
Yep.
He's actually free to make use of his skills.
Yeah.
And often those big corporate structures do an incredible job of making people not be able to use their skills.
I mean, this is actually something that, on the topic of Yoshi P and his blank check at Square Enix, this is what I think is interesting about, because I realized we didn't talk about it in the news that we just recorded, but Yoshi P is part to play in all this.
Yeah.
Because obviously one of the things about Yasumi Matsuda, saying about NFTs and all that stuff, and how they're going to work towards play to earn and introduce Square Enix tokens and play to contribute. Fuck people who play to have fun, which is literally his words. No, he didn't say that. But the idea of we want people to play to contribute, as opposed to play to have fun. As soon as I read that, I was like, man, there is no way Yoshi P reads that letter, sees the Japanese fan backlash, sees how people are talking about it in terms of FF14, and because a lot of people did go, Matsuda, are you mental? Your most profitable thing of all time this year has had serious problems as a result of NFTs and the crypto boost and obviously Silicon backlash, stuff like that. Backlash? Silicon, the back orders, not being able to create enough or manufacture enough. And you're talking all this shit about NFTs when it's actually harmed your fan base and your game experience. And I just imagine Yoshi P immediately was like, hello, dearest esteemed colleague Matsuda, what the fuck did you just say?
Yeah.
I expect that internal email happened pretty quickly, or at least if it was prompted, I imagine he'd be like, if Matsuda came in and said, Yoshida-san, NFTs, please. Yoshi would be like, no. It's my line in the sand. No, players don't want them. You can go and politely fuck yourself. That's what I would imagine anyway, because he's in the board of directors. He's on the he's in the Final Fantasy Council. He's directed the most profitable product and is producing the future of FF. There's no way in my head that he got away with that, basically.
Yeah, I think so.
At least I hope so.
It's certainly like that. It's a lot. It's like a 40-minute video. It'll be coming out.
And we didn't
some
even
point
talk about
soon
this
enough.
bit.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I'll be coming out on the news channel
shit.
soon.
Yep.
That's one thing. Because actually, I can just kill the screen share and hop into the back end because there's one or two questions from. It's not super chats, but whenever people are channel members,
Yes.
there's like a special channel member chat highlighted message that they can put up once a month, and there's a few of them came in, and I do want to do them today as well. So I'm going to do that because should be done. So let's take a look.
That's the done thing.
Let's see. So one of the problems of having so many channels is which one I'm actually logged into.
That is a
So
very
let's log
serious
into the
problem.
correct channel.
Man, there's something weird where if I try to click a watch later link from an embed, it will not let me use any of my accounts. It keeps trying to save them to your playlists. It's very annoying.
Nice. Yeah.
Very
Oh
annoying.
no, mine does that too. It's quite.
Yeah, I was
annoying.
gonna say. So if any VTuber clips show up in your watch later, that's me. You haven't actually gotten really drunk and started watching them.
You know, I think if there was a VTuber clip in my watch later, I would have assumed how that happened.
Yeah.
Okay, right. YouTube, let me know. Oh, I know. How do I see channel member highlighted messages?
Who knows?
YouTube Studio
Did they come in as super chats?
is a
Yeah,
fucking hellscape, everyone.
It is beautiful.
Okay, so if I go to memberships, can I have some? Liz, where's my? Oh,
It's all gone wrong.
oh no! I feel really bad. Please.
While he does that, what's happening, everyone?
They're not even there as supers.
Oh dear.
Oh, you are
Hang on.
shitting biscuits. They do they
Yeah.
appear in your UI?
I will.
Did you have the
let you know.
live stream studio open and have not refreshed it?
Oh, they come in today?
Yeah.
Oh fuck.
Oh yeah, man, it's
No.
it's in today's stream.
No,
We can't access them.
no, I have. Ah, yes, Connor. It was the cloth of happiness. So it was.
Oh, that's
Unfortunately, you
really
didn't get it. Did you get
scandalous.
P2S killed today yet?
No,
I shouldn't just talk to someone. Sure, that's a bit unprofessional.
I think
Yeah.
one of them was about Pale Beyond, and I forget exactly what it was about.
Hmm.
If you are still here, I know there was at least one Pale Beyond question.
I think you've imagined all these.
No, they popped in.
Nope, you've imagined all these. You're actually, you're just in the home. What the fuck did I just open? Hello. Yeah, I sort of lost my.
Okay, well there you go. Basically, thanks YouTube Studio.
You bastard.
Oh, it was asking about prints for Pale Beyond. Yeah, we'll do that at some stage. I imagine we'll.
Oh yes, we definitely
will
will.
select some prints to put into some of our
100%.
Patreon packs, and I'm sure we'll do some merch and things like that, which is fun to do because
Yes.
to be honest, I really enjoy. I really enjoy like the whole process of like getting pins and stuff, and them getting actually made. It's just fun having like a physical thing, getting the prints and everything. So yeah, we can make that happen. There's a few things we can do in that space actually.
Yep. Absolutely.
Oh, there. Hey, Trope, you got it. There's one of them.
Nice. See, this is annoying. I've had this tab open this whole time. And now that I have the viewer activity tab open, I see that message. But I don't see any of the other ones. So, good.
Yeah, so look, I think that's probably mostly it from us for now. NFTs and Pale Beyond. Oh, absolutely.
Definitely.
I mean, come on. They're...
You can get your own unique snowflake.
Yeah, do you want your game to be fungible?
I don't even know what that means. I don't want it. I want it to be. I don't want it to be fun. I don't want it to be fungible. I want it to be fun. I fucked that up so bad.
There you
God
go.
damn.
Oh no, we know what you're going for. We like it. We like it. Oh man, yeah. Okay, so here's the crack, everyone. We are still we're warming up. We're not quite in our marathon pace yet for 2022.
No.
But we've made a few changes for how we run things. And thank you for the sticker, Weapons Primed. We have that's it. Every thumbnail's an NFT.
That's
Good
a
plan.
brilliant idea. Oh God, Rory'd be a billionaire.
Oh man, yeah. So yeah, we're not in our marathon pace yet, but we've made some changes in how we run things at the company that I think are really good. And we're going to make some more.
Yes, we have both been fired.
Me and Matt are gone. This is our last stream. We're fired. We fired ourselves.
Oh God.
So yeah, more content coming. I mean, soon enough. I know it's been quiet in the WoW channel. It's about to pump soon. We're almost at time to hit pump.
Indeed.
And we still haven't quite worked out all of our plans with the gaming channel.
No, I've just been making a load of shit. But yeah.
You got your Panda video. News channel, big pump. I think the news channel is like probably the one that's running the smoothest right now because we've had daily content. It's actually been doing pretty well. We're really happy.
Yep.
Are you guys hiring new people? Not right now. But, I think there's probably room for some stuff. It's just I want to get us nice and stable with how we are now so that instead of hiring based on problems that we don't really know we have because things are a bit messy, we want to fix up all the mess. So we're then like, okay, nice. Where are we going now?
Indeed.
Because, it's like, as an example, do we triple down on YouTube stuff? Or, another thing, I wouldn't mind publishing games at some stage. Actually being a publisher. Because, I think it's, maybe a publisher who comes from a development sort of background first is probably a pretty cool thing to have. And, with all the stuff we do in YouTube, it's like, it's all very natural. So, do we double down on pumping YouTube hard with like new channels and stuff or really increasing our video count or something like that? Or do we move into the publishing of games so that we can then maybe get some other game teams or maybe, get another game team here so we can do more projects? Who knows? So it's just that thing. Hiring will depend on kind of what way we want the ship to go.
Yep, absolutely.
And that's what's up essentially.
Yep.
Liam, I'm glad you liked the Yoshi P video. I'm kind of sad because everyone who watched that video basically seems to have really liked it.
Yeah.
But it's just not the sort of video that gets clicks, and that's the problem. The click-through rate in the video is kind of low because it's not like a woo big, game thing. Click right now. So it's just that really challenging thing where the mechanics of the attraction of attention do make it pretty hard for some of that content that we really love to make to get out there. So what that means is we can't only do the videos like that, but what we can do is we can have the other videos that we enjoy doing that we know will be very popular, and those bring our performance up. So there's a video that's maybe more of a passion project. It won't do as well, but we have the wiggle room because we're doing the other things to sneak in the things we really love.
Yeah,
That's just one of the realities of it.
Definitely have a plan for a couple of different videos on those after reading all of Yoshi Uncensored because he's like obviously it can come across a little bit as hero worship, but in terms of like, you know, clearly just a man who's thought about a lot of different things, it comes out pretty well in how he writes about it all.
Yeah.
So like, I know there's a lot of stuff that I've actually kind of mentioned on the news channel a little bit about some of his takes on how development has was impacted in Japan and the West in like the HD games era, they call it, which is like the PS3 era onwards. And you're like, okay, that stuff's like actually genuinely great insight, because he's one of the only people who can just like get something like that publicized. Because obviously, because it was in Infamous 2, it was, you know, actual game stuff. And you're like, oh yeah, it's just interesting. It's just like, yeah, it turns out for a couple of years the Japanese were fucking garbage at making games because we had this approach, but then my friend over at Ubisoft Montreal had like told me this approach. I'm like, oh, that's really cool, that worked really well, and you could see why Assassin's Creed's so good, but you know, Japan suffered in the HD games are. You're like, fucking great insight. And books just kind of full of that, which is honestly fantastic.
I really need to hit those up.
Yep, they're great.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was one other thing I was going to say. What was it? Yes, it was just because I've seen a couple people ask about what do you call it? Spoiler cast for Endwalker.
We need to plan that ourselves.
Yep.
When we're doing it.
Yeah, basically I have just like 70% of my sort of RAM is dedicated to that. So as soon as that's gone, I'll be able to think so much more. So I'm just constantly thinking about it all the time, constantly re-listening to a couple different tracks. Fuck man, it's wild. Also the video that I'm planning on a certain controversial character. It's going to take me about 6 weeks to write. Oh, it's going to take some reading. Anyway.
Ah, yes.
Yep.
Yes, Mr. Yeagalvis.
I was about to say if I call him juicy, people will understand, but yeah. I don't think we'll do a spoiler cast live.
Probably.
No.
It would be fun. Okay, we'll do the spoiler cast ourselves, and then we'll probably dedicate a stream segment that week to it.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So, right, there we go. Okay, time to check the weather to see what road conditions are like. Maybe drive back to Port Stewart. Try to have a nice, productive weekend, because I've got to make up for this week being a little bit funky for me. And, 2022, let's fucking go. I mean, hey, this year is an even year, not an odd year, and for some reason I like that, because numbers are weird.
Well, I think I've said this before. Well, I said it in Slack and hit everyone in our Slack channels with mind bullets when I said 2022. You know,
that fucked me up so bad, man. You actually aged me like 5,000 years in one Slack post.
Good. Michael just became dust.
Yeah, instantly dusted.
Well, to be honest, you're not looking bad for 5,020 something.
Oh, cheers.
Aye.
That's it. But yeah, right. Hey, first stream back in the year. It's nice to hang out with everyone.
Absolutely.
And yeah, right. Me and Matt gotta go get some shit done. So thank you for hanging out. We will see you live same time next week. Till then, if all goes well, next week's going to be a nice chunky week with loads of content to enjoy.
Absolutely.
So thank you everyone, and we will see you next time.
Good night.